Well, we are staying in Lofa County. Like I told you this morning, we are on our way. And, we've been going to towns and villages to interact with the people. And this abused the minds of Liberians that say Lofa County is the stronghold of Joseph Boakai. So, a young man just walked up to me and want to express his dissatisfaction on the speculations in Montserrado County. So let me get your name.
My name is Amara M. Trawale Jr. Many people call me Master Warris, and I'm the chairman and the founder of the movement of the downtrodden youth of Bonjama District.
So, and you walked to me very angry this morning, and what is the reason for that anger that you came to me with?
I'm very desperate, even more than anger, because people sit in Monrovia there and say that this place is already controlled by the Vice President Joseph Boakai. That is a blatant lie. A blatant lie. We the Levines, we are even disappointed over Boakai. We are disappointed in his leadership.
What do you mean you are disappointed? Boakai being a man from Lofa County, and you being from Lofa County, then you say you're disappointed. Why are you disappointed?
And that's the thing, in fact, that we mislead us, because he's from Lofa County, so we should vote him in even if he is not qualified for the position.
You mean Boakai is not qualified?
Well, qualification does not have to only deal with education. He got the education, but the experience to move this country forward, he doesn't have it, because he's been on board for the past 12 years. Why he didn't do, you anticipate him to do something more than that? That's the area where the disqualification comes in. I'm not saying that he's not educated, but he's not qualified to move this country forward. And the kind of a conception, the kind of a mind the people have in Monrovia there, they sit and say this place controlled by Joseph Boakai is lie. You know very well we were in Bakedu yesterday. I'm from Bakedu anyway.
Oh, you from Bakedu?
I'm from Bakedu, the Kodobone district. You were there yesterday and you saw the kind of momentum. And even when George Weah entered the town a couple of days ago, the entire Bonjama was on fire politically. When Joseph Boakai came, this town was looking like it was even sleeping.
You joking?
I'm not joking. I'm telling you something from the bottom of my heart. I'm a mastercratic leader. I control 315 members of 315 youth in this district. And let me tell you something. Joseph Boakai has no tangibles to point at in Lofa here. If anybody is daring me, let anybody come up and say Joseph Boakai has chicken horse in Bonjama here, not to even talk about building. You understand? You traveled yesterday to Kolahu. Okay, I was even thinking that I said, let the protocol not take the decision for George Weah to go to Foya, because this guy couldn't come back. And that's the hometown road of Joseph Boakai. You saw the road. It's horrible, very horrendous. You understand? The road is bad, to say the least. You understand? Charity begins at home. If this man cannot do anything for Lofa, he didn't do anything for Lofa for the past 12 years, what do you expect out of him? Let's not be joking here, man. Let's not be joking. The driver can change, but the car will still remain. Oh, Madam Salim, Joseph Boakai, they form in the same predicament. We can't elect them for another 24 years. What will we be doing? So you want to tell me that the only one that have the brain to run this country?
So you say, what part of Lofa specifically you from?
I'm from Kwaduboni district. Specifically, I'm from Marvin Konedu. Marvin Konedu is in the Kwaduboni district. It's one of the renowned towns in the Kwaduboni district. I'm not far from the home of Dr. Edward Bian Kesari, the founder of the Unity Party. Unity Party is for Lofayan. But Lofayan are tired with the Unity Party. You understand? If the Unity Party could have another driver, maybe the sympathizers of Unity Party could be much. If it had gone another driver. But the driver is still the same.
So you say the Lofa citizens are angry with Boakai because you can't point out any tangible, one single tangible.
Nothing of the sort. You know why? Joseph Boakai is associated with people who have already failed this county. And
who are some of those people?
Even every time he comes here, the incumbent, Honorable Mayanwu Bian Fofana. Honorable Mayanwu Bian Fofana, my own Madingo sister from Kwaduboni district, has failed the district. We were moving up and down behind her to 2011. But now she failed us and she wants us again to re-elect her. It can't work. Senator George Tengbe on the United Party ticket. Those are the failures that are behind Joseph Boakai. So I'm sorry, he's not going to go anywhere because the people of Lofa County are disenchanted over their leadership. Let not somebody sit down in Monrovia and say Lofa is for Joseph Boakai, you'll be making a very grievous mistake.
So what is your final message to the people? You got hundreds of people all around the world that are looking at you.
This message could go even beyond what we anticipate. You understand? I want this message to go forward. Let it go through the length and breadth of this country that Joseph Boakai does not have any political control over Lofa County. Lofa is divided over the leadership of Joseph Boakai. You understand? The only thing people can say here in Lofa is that he served as the managing director for LPMC normal days. That's not enough. 24 years in government, I still to be corrected, but I think he has spent more than 24 years in government.
In 40 years.
40 years. What does he want now? Let him go back and build his home. Foya Tinge, I think that's the area he's from.
Oh, from Foya Tinge.
No road there. No road. You saw the road yesterday.
Very terrible.
No road. So how many years we should set again for the Bangam and the Kama road to be fixed? We know that Josh Weah is the only option. The alternative choice to political freedom, social, economical freedom in this country, for us to get over this dodging, is not to re-elect any members of the Unity Party. Let us carry Josh Weah. I interacted with Josh Weah yesterday. I saw him. I said, but wait now. There is a man, so common man, like this. It means that when this man is at the executive mansion tomorrow, nobody will be afraid to go around him. You know, I was speaking to him. I said, you know, you were my friend. I'm sorry for that expression. No, but he's so too down to earth. And I'm not seeing a reason why we shouldn't give this leadership to Josh Weah. I don't know why. I don't know why. And this question seems to be very rhetorical. Why can't we elect Josh Weah to liberate us economically?
The people say Josh Weah ain't no book. That's the reason why we're not.
And you know why? I'm an expert in English. That's the reason why they call me Master of Words. When Josh Weah was speaking the before yesterday, because people say those things here and there that he doesn't speak good English, I was standing by his side, listening to the final pronunciation of his words. The ED, the SRED, the ZRED, and he got everything intact. This guy is eloquent. Very, very eloquent. Very, very eloquent indeed. I evaluated his speech. Very, very eloquent. Yeah, very, very eloquent. You know, to know that somebody speaks good English, not only the vocabularies, but you look at the subject verb agreement, the pronoun antecedent, the cases of the pronouns, and everything was intact. I'm not seeing any politician that can speak with logic right now in Liberia than Josh Weah. Not only the English, but the logic. The logic.
So what is we are on our way to Bakedu now, and I'm sure you will be with the team.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say to the people of Bakedu?
When we get into Bakedu, you will see the rousing welcome. The ceremony will be very electric. Very, very electric. They can't wait to see George Manuel Weah and Joel Howard Taylor. You understand? It's a let-go ticket. A let-go ticket. You understand? Kwadu Goni, you know, people say it's the birthplace of the Unity Party. But the people of the Kwadu Goni now, they are disenchanted. They are disappointed, you know, in the leadership of those that are moving the Unity Party forward. If we had another travel other than Joseph Boakai, perhaps we will make an alternative choice. But in this case, Joseph Boakai being...
But why you so angry with Boakai? Why are you so angry?
He has not done anything for us. No, Abu, you've been here. Has anybody shown you in Fonjama here what Joseph Boakai has done? Look at, we're standing now seeing Zago Hotel over there. Before Zago became senator of this county, he had already made mark. He got tangibles to point at. But Joseph Boakai has not got even the slightest chicken house.
Wow.
Yeah, of course. You know, because to build a chicken house is not difficult. Just for a chicken to sleep. He doesn't have it yet. I know many people will get angry with me over the statement I'm making, but it's the truth. And if you were to interview another person, a logical person, I'm not talking about a fool, because only a fool will support Joseph Boakai. But any logical person will tell you that Joseph Boakai is not a political material to move this country forward, and the people of Lofa have not resolved to carry him. Everybody is divided. You understand? I agree, he got some supporters here, but he does not have an absolute control over this county. So let the people in Monrovia hear that, let the whole world hear it. I wish this thing could be extended on the Facebook, but people even
it's already on Facebook.
It's already on Facebook. People in the diaspora to even hear it. If you're hearing me now on the Facebook, everywhere, every part of the world, I'm telling you that Joseph Boakai is not a solution to Liberia's problem. It's not a solution. You understand?
Yeah.
Let us make an alternative choice. And that choice, brilliantly, is George Barnett Weah. We believe he can move us forward. He has done it in the past, he can do it now, and he can do it in the future. If I continue talking for even the next 2 hours, I will not get tired to disprove the prove the weakness.
This president speaking to you.
Ambassador, I was just telling them that a witness will go on Facebook to tell them that Joseph Boakai does not have control over this place here. And the alternative choice is George Barnett Weah. I'm speaking now, Ambassador Weah is here. The whole world hear it. You saw Lofa is not resolved over Joseph Boakai. We are disappointed in his leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abu. That was good talking to you. It was nice talking to you. You listen to the guy there. You listen to the guy there speaking from Lofa County, and we've been saying this to you, and you need to understand. So I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you later. Baba, we are on our way to Kwadu Boni district. Thank you so much.
You wanna see romance? Oh yeah. About it so interesting. Oh yes, you get.
We had addressed Liberia this gone Monday, and where he took 3 hours 30 minutes to give our statement, and a lot of opposition political party have respond to his statement, and some people say there's been repetition from, nothing changed, nothing new. So that'll be one of our discussion tonight. And also, secondly, we'll be talking about Senator Prince Johnson. He accusing the government about, the threat. He accused the government of Liberia that they are threatening his life. They want to assassinate him simply because he had decided to walk away from the coalition. And, the coalition agreement expired since last year, and there have been no agreement. And Prince Johnson have come out to make it very clear that he and his party will no longer be part of the CDC. So they are moving on their own. Since he made that statement, according to him, that his life has been threatened. So that will be one of our discussion. Also, we'll be looking at the allegation of Liberian government that there was armed, and an ammunition arrested. We all saw that on social media when those weapons were being arrested, at the free port of Liberia, the free port. Since then, we have now heard in an update from the governor of Liberia about, as to who's responsible for that, because we heard some people were being accused from the US of A, and that they said that the weapon came from America. So up to present, we haven't heard anything from the Liberian government. So these are our 3 talking points tonight. Our team has to travel through, and along with our guests only here for us to discuss the issues. So let's take this time to welcome our audience, the man Teddy Lion. Welcome to the show, and we're seeing Raphael. Yeah, so you guys do your best, share the broadcast, and invite others to be a part of our discussion tonight. So over to you, T Max.
All right, thank you very much, CEO. So unfortunately, our guest will be joining us in hopefully 3 minutes. So we the CEO just laid out our discussion for tonight. Yeah, so we all, I know the Liberian people heard the President's State of the Union address, he made a lot of statements on things the government did, and he spoke about health, about the economy, and security, and a lot of issues that he said the government was doing a whole lot of good things in. I want to drive to health. He talks about health, and in his statement, he said now people don't have to come to Monrovia for healthcare, and it's like, I think he was basically saying that the entire country now is, good when it comes to healthcare. Like every county have their own health facility, you don't need to come to Liberia, to Monrovia. So, Lincoln, let me go back to you. So, what do you make of that first portion of the President Sona address?
Firstly, let me just say this, to the audience. Trust me, man, with no disrespect, Liberia is my country. I love Liberia so much. And it pains me, when I see the leaders, trying to play games, out of the Liberian people. If the president said that people don't need to come to Monrovia to go to hospital, people are leaving now from Monrovia to go to Ghana, to go to hospital in Ghana. People are leaving from Monrovia to go to hospital in Turkey. People are leaving from Monrovia to go to hospital in India. So what's the difference? What happened to change, The thing about hospital, it is not just to have the building and say, oh, yes, we have hospital. That's not the building we're talking about. When you say you have hospital, we talk about logistics. We talk about medicine. We talk about equipped doctors. Those are what we talk about when we say hospital. Why I say that you think people who get sick in Liberia and decide to take their family to Ghana to get treatment? You think it's because of how beautiful the hospital look in Ghana? No. It is because they know that Ghana have sophisticated doctors. Why do people take their family and fly them over to India? It is because they know in India they have sophisticated doctors. It is not because they have beautiful buildings. Why did Samuel 12 went to Turkey when he had an accident? Why didn't he go out to JFK? Because he knows when he go to Turkey, in Turkey, they had sophisticated doctors. So, President, we actually start playing fun of the Liberian people when we talk about the health system in our country. Don't need to, go to, people don't need to come to Monrovia. So when you get sick in Nima County, you have to go to the next hospital right there. When we talk about hospital, T-Max, it is not a structure. It is not just a building. That's not what we're looking at when we talk about hospital. We talk about, when you say hospital, we talk about logistics. For example, let me give you a typical example of T-Max, where I live right now. If something just happened to me that, I don't have the strength to even go to hospital. I don't even have the strength to get down my stair, to get downstairs and, get in my car or get, or look for taxi. I just need to place a call. My brother, you'll see ambulance at my door in the next 5 to 10 minutes to take me to the hospital. Make sure and take me to a nearby area that I can get better treatment. That's what we talk about when we talk about the healthcare system. So the president should not play fun with Liberian people because he building the 14th military hospital. How is the people of my give you? How is that hospital, how are they getting better treatment over there? So those are things we should be looking at, not just the structure. Hospital, we talk about the logistics. We talk about the doctors. That's what we talk about when we talk about hospital. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lincoln. We just have our guest show up. That's to our audience. We have our brother Jay Randy, who is our guest today. Jay Randy Dapo, if I have it right. Good morning, Randy. Good morning, and welcome to Diaspora Talk.
Yes, good morning, Masakwe, and good morning to Gabriel and I would say Lincoln. Good morning to every one of you guys. It's a pleasure to be here this early time on my side here. But whenever it comes to Liberia, we are all fired up and ready to come and share our opinion to educate our people. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate you guys for that.
Thank you. So before we move forward, good morning, Gabriel.
Good morning to you, Mr. Masakwe. Good morning.
Thank you. Welcome on board. So our guest is here. Before we keep the show rolling, Jay Randy, before we get into the discussion, I want to give you 1 minute to let our audience know who is Jay Randy. a brief introduction of yourself.
Yes, Jay Randy is a Liberian that everyone on here, a social media influencer, a mentor to many Liberians, and then an environmentalist, an engineer, and a technologist person. My role on Facebook is to actually begin or have started to inform the Liberian people about what has happened in the past, what is going on, and what they can take from those two things and begin to make an informed decision as we go through our new democratic system of election. And that's what I do on Facebook. Aside from that, I'm a father of 3, and I'm a home dad. I'm a professional guy, environmental engineer manager in the United States. And I love to talk. I love Liberian politics. So that's what I always love to do. But it's almost like giving back. So thank you for the introduction. For those that don't know me, your audience, well, my name is Jay Randy. I don't hide anything from the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll keep the ball rolling. We have our first discussion. We all
Masiko, I'm sorry. Can you share the post the broadcast, because I would like to share that with my
I think
audience.
I did.
Oh, you already did? Okay.
Yes, I think I did. So it should be there.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go on my page, it should be. If not, just let me know now. I'll probably forward it to you.
Yeah, let me go on your page. Sorry for that. Go on your page.
Okay. All right. So to our audience and our viewers, please share the podcast. It's going to be a very interesting discussion today with our guest, Jay Randy. And back to the discussion. We have our first discussion today centered around the President's State of the Union address that was held a few weeks back. He was bragging of a lot of things. We're just going to the health system when he made a statement of the healthcare and that Liberians don't need to come to Monrovia. All of the counties now, have an improved health system. I don't know how true was that, but he alluded that that's the case right now. The CEO just spoke on that. So I'll go back to you, Randy. What do you make of most of the session of the president's speech on things that he was very boastful about and bragging that his government have done in the past 6 years when it comes to health, education, the economy, and the whole 9 year? Go ahead, Randy.
Well, that's a lot of stuff to unpack, especially after 6 years in office. What I would like to see here is this, right? Let me just give you a bit historic of what and where Liberia is. You and our parents and our parent, they came into the world called Liberia without seeing anything in our country. We have been in existence for 176 years now this year, and we have been around for 200 years. What we see today that the president over the past 5 years have done is what we call incremental development. It's what we call progress in the face of no progress.
Wow.
What the president has done is based on a structural improvement. Structural improvement in the sense that what we are not seeing today, when we start to see those things, the question that need to be asked is, why weren't the things in the place to begin with? So as I look at the president, I supported the president in 2017 when I ran his campaign, but I emphatically and ethically told Liberian people that if he doesn't do the right thing, I will come back here and criticize the president. Yes, I did criticize the president. And do I regret every word that came out of my mouth? Absolutely not. Why? Because the president, and I will be a little bit demonstrative here, presented this to us. These are performance, and these are sectors, and these are indicators that align with the value and the improvement of our country. He listed the thing on the 4 pillars. And I just want your audience to understand that as an influencer, I have to give you enough evidence to build my case as we go along this conversation. For those of you that don't have the President CDC Change for Hope, I will try to attempt to explain that to you guys, because this is where the president deliverable actually stemmed from. He had pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3, and pillar 4. On each pillows were bullet points. He had education and training for pillar number 1. When he talked about improvement in education, let's look at the educational sector. Let's look at Ghana, because I remember growing up, Ghanaians were coming to Liberia for so many things, including teaching. But when we look at the Ghanaian educational system today, there are technology across the country of Ghana that are better than our school. But here's the reality here. We are 176 years old. So what has happened to the past government? Where is the building block that have been left? If Joseph Jingira was only able to build a schoolhouse, and then Stephen Ali Benson can say, I will put in a different partition. And then the other guy can say, yes, I will put in electricity, I will put in water. What do you think we will be doing today in terms of incremental development? So when we want to discuss this thing, I think we should look at the foundation of our country, and we should be able to look at where the country has come from and what the country is heading at. So when you look today on the president agenda here, see, when I campaign for the president, this is what we use, the 4 pillars, and this is what I have been craving for the president. As you look on this page, and I'm just going to read a few things for you guys on education. The president has managed to provide free education that benefit more than 10,000 Liberians over the years. It might not be big, but remember, we are looking at progress. And the question is, what these things never happened before? Free WASH education. I remember when I was in school, we paid for our WASH tuition. The generation today is benefiting from that. Building 28 high school and 18 elderly school around the country. Giving 3,500 supplementary teachers permanent status, increasing pay of those same teachers, adding 1,300 teachers and guidance. Now, those who want to tend to not believe these things, as a trained engineer, as a career person, somebody tells me anything about Lincoln, Gabriel, Massaquoi, I'm not just going to take it like that. I'm going to investigate. Whatever the president has listed here, he has shown to us that these are the things he has done. Those things are visible to see. Those things can be seen by you and I that travel to the country. But what I'm trying to say here is, where was our educational system that the president is doing what he's doing now? Could he have done more than what it is? So I find as the president giving his deliverable on what he has achieved, before we even make an argument, let us look at what we have first and what the president is doing. Every one of us here used to wear size 1 in shoe or maybe 34 in shape. But as our body expand, we change things. What were the sizes of development? So I will leave it as that. But those are the accomplishments in the educational sector that the president has presented to people of Liberia.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Randy. Gabriel, my brother Gabriel. So you listened to the president's State of the Union address, and all of the deliverables that he put out that his government has done in the past 6 years, and everything is looking all fancy. What do you make of that address?
Thank you so much, Brother Massaquoi, and let me welcome our guests. And thank you so much for trading your valuable time to be here. Welcome, Mr. Randy. So I would like to say this, my brother. I listened to the speech, and I don't want to delve into the technicality of the speech. I can always say that, public speaking, they'll always tell you that the human attention span is very limited, mostly 30 minutes. psychologists, they will say, so if you really want to deliver a speech, you should deliver it in a way that will be very concise and not so boring and long-winded. I thought that the speech was like a punishment for the president because I saw him standing there almost 3 hours reading. Sometimes you could, if you really listen to a voice, sometimes, he'll feel relaxed. Sometimes he just feels so, and he just feels so elaborated. He just feels so animated. Then sometimes he feel relaxed. So I think that, it was like a punishment for him. It was so long, 3 hours of reading. And you could even see that some people were embarrassed. People started walking out. Some people started, you could just see people, doing all kind of things. It was I tried reading the speech, and one thing, let me just give credit to the speech writer. It was well worded. It was well written. But just that at the end, I think they started to partisanlize that kind of national speech. I saw people that stomach father standing up talking 12 years in that place. And it got this man, Yaka Koruba agitated. He said, he started UP. I think that was a very professional place. That was not a place to go and start raving about your political party. It only show how, these people are. And I can say, I pick up some things from the speech, especially when the president said that his overarching purpose as a president was, to actually protect the peace and security of the nation. And he has made an enviable record or an enviable win in this. So I would like to say, what are the peace and security of the people are already been protected? Which one is he talking about? It is true we are not into civil war. There's no war fighting, but economically, I think we are into the war zone because right now, you look at the macroeconomic activities, there's no job. People don't have any job. There's no job right now. And investor has not pulled in. Most companies are leaving than the ones that are coming in. No, we don't have any level of, confidence within the country because it's confidence that bring in investors. When they have confidence in your economy, they will try to come in. But right now, we are not seeing it. People are not flocking in. So I think it is insecurity. If you don't have job, you are insecure because hunger will kill you. So which kind of, security was the president talking about? So that's just what I want.
Let me hold you right there. So let me go back to my guest, Randy. One thing the president spoke on. He talked about the 2023 fiscal budget. He spoke about increasing civil servant salaries and to a minimum wage. What do you make of that? Because I know when he took over, he reduced salaries, and now he's talking about increasing. Why now?
Yeah, and that is a very, very, very smart question of yours. Again, when we came out of the Civil War, we barely had anything into our coffers. The National Reserve had to be assisted by international country. I spoke to a guy by the name of Christopher Lane, the IMF boss that time, and he told me that, Randy, we will be giving the Liberian government $4 million every year for the next 6 years to create the stability within the National Reserve and confidence in investment. And outside of that, there were many donors organizations that came to the country. And we have the UNMIL that came. So the issue of economic boom as it relates to employment was very high at that time. But what many Liberians did not understand, it was not to be sustained, but only to be utilized within that time frame. So what happened then? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf never came up with a government pay structure. You guys that live in developed country in America here, when you look for any job under the federal system, they will tell you about the different classes of salary based on the experience. In Liberia, we saw.
So Randy, let me hold you that 1 minute.
To that point now, I'm coming. Let me
learn,
please.
Okay.
Let me learn. So
go ahead.
Ellen Johnson said he came with a very high and disproportionate salary range. After UNMIL left, after some of the companies that had the short-term agreement left, Mr. Weah and his team, along with the IMF, decided to ask the big question, the what if. And the what if is a very sensitive question to ask. What if we look at the budget, the annual budget of this country, where we stand? Well, what we used to have before is not what we are getting now due to the skill back on the income that we got, whether it's coming from Union Mill and other institution or business institution we have. So Mr. Twell, the finance minister, the president, the IMF, the what if is should we lay off people in order to balance all the current budget we have, or should we do what we call salary harmonization? That what if question came about because of the abusive use of economic salary structure that Ellen did not consider as a government. So instead of allowing people to be retired or laying people off, retired by force or laying them off, the president and the finance minister decided to trim over the salary by adjusting salary. Now, to your question, when things, the president said now that I'm about to increase salary, it tells me that from the initial state of harmonizing the salary and going to increase it, there have been an improvement, not too much, but a little improvement in the economic progress of our country. And that's why giving him the opportunity now to come out and say, we will leave from one place to move to another place. That is very systemic, strategic in a sense. You and I here, there are things that we want to buy, but because of our salary, gross salary, we cannot buy. But if we start to get more raise, then we can begin to up our game. So it was based on what the president has observed.
Okay, Randy. I'll get back to you. CEO. So it took 6 years for the president to understand that the Liberian people needed an increment in their wages up to the minimum standard of wage in the country, or living wage as we call it. What do you make of that? Is it because of election around the corner, or he's trying to make the Liberian people think that he really cares about improving their lives and everything? But why now? Why in the dire minute of election? Go ahead, CEO.
Thank you, T-Max. Thank you so much. The thing is very simple, right? Even though I have some questions to ask, yes, Mr. Rennie, welcome to the show. Been following on social media towards some period of time, and I think I have some important questions to ask you too. But
yes,
we'll
come to questions for the guests. But I just want you guys to give your view, and we'll jump into the question part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The thing is this, right, T-Max? I don't understand, what the government is trying to prove. Man, we have a 419 government. And so Gabriel tried to commend whoever that did a speech for the president. Bro, that speech is a trash. Do you know what I said, trash? The speech is repetition. The president keep repeating similar thing that he said from the day he got into office. The first State of the Nation address. Very well, gave it a lot of repetition. He kept talking about broken economy. He kept talking about he took over. There was no money in XYZ. Gabriel, you and I know that story that been ever since story. You gone 5 years to 6 years now, you still talking the same thing. That's just one aspect of it. With the issue, the president, talking about the minimum wage should be like, the least every civil servant makes 150. T-Max is belated. It is belated. We are in West. I don't know how you guys are, but Korea, every year there is a little percentage added on the minimum wage in this country every year. So if this year it's 9.50 cents, next year it will be 10 out. The following year it will be 11.50 every year, except from the COVID-19 issue we had recent, so it had to stock a little bit. But that's what the government do every year. So the government right now coming out to talk about, the least I mean, civil should be making it's later. It's something that Liberian people should even clap for. It's be later. It is be later. Imagine people who are making 1,500 doing Ellen Johnson sleep time. The government can cut the salary down. They started making 900. Somebody started making 800. For what reason? Simply because the government wanted to, force people in them and then try to create salary structure for them. That's not how government create employment for its citizens. So it has been later. It is not something for all clap for. It has been later. That thing was, I mean, it's supposed to be something that happened ever since the end of the year. Now, then you want to come out like you bringing good news to my brother, man. I mean, brother, that thing not there. That's also a fiasco. Let me just say in the Liberian way, like fiasco. They're just doing that simply because they want to get the people attention because election is closer. They need the people. So they got to come with a sweet story so it can suit them to be able to give them another 6 years. And trust me, if the Liberian people make another crazy mistakes, they be on their own this time around. So that whole thing is belated. We should not even clap for the government of Liberia. And even 150 is nothing, my brother. But this year, we'll be even talking about $250 US for the least civil servant to be making. If they are not done, I mean, if they are not harmonized people's salary, but now it's about to go up to a certain level, like $250 US per month for each civil servant. Not be talking about 100. What is $150, bro? It's nothing.
So see, basically, some people will still not reach. So basically, some people will still not reach the target of what they had before. It's just basically like taking them back to where it was.
That's what I'm saying. It's been later, Timas. It's been later. That thing is something else we shouldn't be talking about. It's nothing. Why should we grade a president for he making our statement after stealing from the people all that years? It's not. It's just like you stole somebody's money and you're trying to give it back to them. Then what you want to say? What you want to brag about that? I mean, there's nothing to boast of that you try to improve the civil servant side. No, there's nothing to talk about. So I cannot even give the CDC government even a check mark on that. The people money the store, that's why they brought back to them. And they don't even bring it back in full because they're going to bring it back. Plus, I mean, interest. So we're talking about $250 US for each civil servant at the end of the month. Not $150. What's $150? It's nothing too much. So we shouldn't, I mean, it's been later. It's not something that we should even grade them on. It's nothing.
Thank you. Thank you, CEO. So we'll go to Gabriel. I think you guys gave your little input on the President's State of the Union address. Gabriel, you have a question for the guest. You can go ahead. I know Randy is fully prepared to handle most of these issues. So we'll go to the questioning now.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm assuming that the guests also listened to the President during his State of the Nation address. And what do you make of this? The President assertion that, I mean, he took over a distressed economy, a tattered economy, and because at that time the country, the previous government, Ellen Johnson said it was actually borrowing from our reserve. That was what they were using to actually stabilize the rate, but they had assumed. I'm stressing on this because I think they didn't do due diligence, but they said they had assumed that they were taking off on a real foundation, a strong foundation, not knowing that they were just going to ride on a free fall where the rate was really, really going to be bad of. What do you make of this? A government taking off on assumption, not from doing their own due diligence, not from requesting a turnover note to know how much is in the cupboard and how much is actually being used to stabilize it. I mean, what do you really make of this? Every time we ask the CDC government, they talk about, we took over from a distressed economy and we thought that things were okay. I mean, what do you make of this? Did it appear to you that the CDC government was really responsible to be taking over based on assumption and not really doing their own due diligence?
I can't speak to the assumption you're talking about because that's something new to me. But what I did hear the president say in 2018, after taking office, that there was no money left in the coffers. And the next thing I heard after the speech was the former president coming out and said we left money in there. There were no reason that I can give you here that the president said we assume that there was no money in there. The audio is out there. But before I go deep down into your question, I'd like to address what Lincoln has said here. Lincoln, you need to understand that Liberia has been a country in existence for a very long time, but we have been challenged in so many ways. It would be very, very disproportionately unfair to compare South Korea with Liberia today, even though from the beginning, South Koreans were in our country looking for economic survival. However, due to our lack of consistencies and continual improvement, they have come in surpass of the GDP of South Korea is far more greater than Liberia. The purchasing power of South Korea is greater than Liberia. Why are those indicators very high? Because their economy is doing so well. When you look at a country that came to a conclusion and said in 1989 we're going to dismantle everything we are amount in terms of progress, there is no way to make that comparison. What the president has done in terms of creating a job opportunity, this is what we call an informed decision. Would you rather lay off people because of no salary, or will you either readjust in order to keep people on the job? I think as a Liberian who live in a very vast economy that always laying off people based on economic projection, what the president did with the workforce by creating an economic equilibrium is something that is worth commending. Not many leaders would do that in any country, to rather say, let me lay off people or readjust their salary. The people that received that information, they were very, very appreciative of that. And then secondly, you mentioned about the president being enrolled, the president being this. You have no evidence of truth unless you are maybe living in a world where people are guilty before they even go into due process. In my world, for the past 6 years, the president has not been found guilty on anything except for the 3 that had just been charged. So for me, I cannot just go out there and start accusing people. The last thing I would like to say here is this. You're saying that the government is a 409 government and the president's speech is just something he said over and over. But here's the thing here. The president's first term is over. What you think this will be in the speech? The summary from where he started to the end. So when you hear him repeating things, it is not consistent with he said it last year, the year before, the year before. No, he is ending a term, and what we call the State of the Nation address summary and the current report, and the record are out there. Now, coming back to the assumption here, Gabriel, the president statement about no money in the cover, he observed what he saw and he defended it. He defended it. Ellen Johnson said he was quick to come back and say there wasn't any money in there. Ellen Johnson said he, who had just left that position, should have been able to provide to the Liberian people. Because if you remember, Ellen Johnson said the last speech before she left office, she said things are going to get tough. I have that speech here, Gabriel, if I mean Massaquoi, and I can send it to you. She said things were going to be tough. Senator Weah was there and all the other people were there. She said you need to tighten your belts. What did she mean by that? So when Mr. Weah came out and said there were no money in the coffers, Ellen Johnson said, who came out to rebut that, Shua said, in addition to me just saying it, here are the information that have been given to the people of Liberia. So I think the president coming out to say that there was no money in there, I support the president on what he has said. Now, with the stability of the World Bank, today, the government of Ghana are being advised by IMF not to borrow from the central bank. Yes, from their central bank. And I want strategic thing that Mr. Weah has done based on the advice of subject matter expertise. You see, any administration did not listen to subject matter expertise, but President Weah managed and continue to listen to subject matter expertise. Today, there are strong laws in the country that the central bank cannot, neither the government ministry, including the finance ministry, to borrow money from the central bank. Why? Because they want to create economic stability. So that is what I think the president has done, and all these things can be backed up with documentation and evidence as it relates.
Oh.
Remember, the president want to build.
Let me just,
I was just about to conclude quickly here. So
yeah, ready to conclude.
On Pillar 2 of the president's 4 pillars, he wants to sustain economic growth, and that is where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Keeping people on the job,
Allow me to
not borrowing from the central bank. Those are all economic stability and sustainability he's trying to put in place. So thank you, there, Gabriel.
Yeah, let me
Thank
just
you.
follow up on this. I begin one minute, Master Quay.
Before you move on, I would like to ask the guest. Renee, you are the guest. You are the guest of the show. Basically, we give you more edge over all of the panelists here. But I would just ask that you be low brief with your response, so because we got two more topics.
Yeah, I mean,
we got two more topics to cover. So
the sensitivity of my question.
I know it's difficult. Yeah, it's a difficult thing, but just try your best.
Let me say this quickly. The sensitivity of answering my question is driven by what you guys say, because I have to address everything.
Right. No, I'm saying just try your best, because we got two more topics to cover.
Okay.
Right.
I will try my
so
best.
Gabriel, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Gabriel.
So, Mr. Render, yes, what I was saying, everyone blamed the CDC government for not actually auditing her predecessor, really taking due diligence. So when I listen to the president, I beg you, I don't want to be a little bit longer. I just want to read verbatim what he said. He said, the central bank was not officially recognized. There was the bleak nature of our economy when we assumed responsibility for the leadership of the government beginning in 2018. Mr. Speaker, I'm coming 1 minute. I'm still going down.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, we did not realize at this time that that was the recipe for economic disaster we had already set. We had assumed that our economy was sitting on a strong foundation, but we were in for a rude awakening of a decline in the exchange rate begin to accelerate. Are you getting me? He said, we had assumed that our economy was sitting on a strong foundation. They did not do their own due diligence, but they assumed that the economy was sitting on a strong foundation. But we were in the rude awakening when the decline of the exchange rate began to accelerate. So that's why I was asking you, does the CDC government really sound as a very credible or a very professional, government to assume about things that has to do with money, technicality, economy, and leadership?
Well, I think you have to put into context that assume what was he trying to say, and that's one of the failure of the journalists today. When I assume office, doesn't mean that I'm making assumptions. When I assume office,
no, that's not the part. That's not the part. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, that's not. No, that's not what I'm talking about.
The statement was clear. It wasn't talking about someone assuming office. It was talking about what they expected.
No, hold on.
What they expected.
He said they had assumed that they were sitting on a strong foundation.
Yeah, but
economic foundation, not they had assumed office.
Yes, when I assume office, I could also say I believe that I was sitting on something after taking office. So that's why I said you need to be able to contextualize that word. What does it mean? What does it mean? There has been no journalist that went out to the president like you are doing now, and I'm trying to make sure that I provide clarity here to ask the president, what do you mean? Or even ask the finance minister or a government official, what do you mean that when you assume this? Are you talking about when you took office, or were you saying you just assume? Because I don't think with the structure of the government that include our business partner, the IMF, that already set the foundation that there should be no borrowing from the central bank. So I think that description within that context of that message you just read, it could be a disinformation, a misinformation based on how you perceive it. And I will reach out to the source of the information to be able to verify things. Speaking about assumption, you are assuming right now of things that you don't understand. And I think it would be fair to your investigation to reach out to the source, because I cannot assume for that. Because
Mr. Rene, I don't want to take this real further because we have other guys.
Yeah.
So the point here is I'm not talking about the assumed office.
Gabriel, we got to move forward.
The president said they had assumed that they were sitting on the strong foundation.
Gabriel, you are giving double negative. Have you gone to the president and said, Randy, here is the audio of me asking the president this question, and he basically said this. You never did that.
No, but the problem is that it's context clue. I'm reading the speech.
No, but it's context clue to you, but not the translation of what he said. We should not learn to just assume things when we don't have the facts. That's my opinion.
The point here is very clear. It said we are assumed that we were sitting on the strong foundation.
Let me ask you
and you didn't say that we took our turn over. No, show us that we took our strong foundation.
If a police officer said you fit the description of what somebody just told me, will you just accept that police officer's statement like that? No. He will be assuming. So what you need to do is to ask him to articulate his information as to what he really heard and what he's looking for. Because not every black person is someone that will commit a crime. So by you assuming what the president is saying and not following up with the president, that is not fair to your investigative journalism based on the president's words. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I always trust things, but I verify in order to provide a well-informed information.
Okay, sorry. My conclusion here would just be that it was so irresponsible to take.
That's your opinion.
Based
on
assumption rather than turn over.
That's your opinion. It doesn't have facts. Facts is not a fact.
We gotta go. Yes, we gotta go. So thank you, gentlemen.
I had to respond. I had to respond to Mr. Rennie because I said something.
Well, I'm time pressed.
You see what I'm telling you now? That's the function of inflation. So I can use.
Okay.
I can use 30 seconds just to respond.
Okay, shoot your shot quick. I'm time pressed. Let's go.
Okay, I listen to you very well, Mr. Rennie, right? And these are some facing in our community. After people bring bad fruits to the Liberian people, and at the end of the day, they still want to defend the bad or rotten fruits that they brought to the Liberian people. Understand one good thing here, and let us just get this very clear. The easier way that a government can provide jobs for a people is with the private sectors. You see, even in the great America, the private sectors, you find more people work with the private sector than even with the government. CDC came to power where they did. They harmonized people's salary and squeezed people within the government ministries, simply because they had thousands of citizens that they wanted to get jobs to. That's not how a government creates jobs.
Do you have any?
I got a lot of facts. I got facts.
Okay, can you send?
They said it. Look at the record. It is very clear. I'm coming. Let me learn, please. The record is there. CDC is telling us that they got almost close to 700,000 Liberians being employed. When they came to power, did they have that number being employed? And those 700,000, those number that added are being employed, where are they working? Are they the private sectors? Where are they working? In government entities. So that was the essence of the harmonization. Imagine someone who was making $1,500 United States dollars. After the salary being harmonized, what happened? They started making $900. Where did $500 go? Somebody are making $350. They harmonized the salary. They started making $250. Where did $100 go? So they created jobs within government entity just for their partisan. Nowhere in the world you go, you see you hear or you see that thing happening. Government, the way government create jobs is with the private sectors. When investors come into the country, for example, they are high because the Meta Steel could hire about 5,000 plus Liberian, or a Firestone could add additional 2,000-3,000 Liberian. That's how government create jobs for itself, not to squeeze people in government ministry or in agency. They put people's salary at the end of the day, just so these people that you bring on board can have salary at the end of the month. Then after 5 or 6 years, your time fin, then you say you want to give the people back their money where you stole from them. So what I say are facts.
We got.
I mean, no, let me tell you on this platform. Additional people, CDC employees, where are they working right now? Where?
Okay.
Are they with private entity or are they with the government entity?
See you. Pose your question. Let get it rolling. We got other people here to come here.
I think you already posted the question.
Yeah, go ahead. You respond.
So I think what the CEO need to understand, and CEO, all due respect, when we talk about job creation and economic boom, I believe you have property in Liberia. I believe you have some business or whatever. The question here is, are you paying taxes? Government is not in the business of making profit. Government provides services. I who's sitting here, I have a piece of land in Liberia. The government has not come out to me to pay taxes. People who live in Korea, they are making significant contribution to government services by paying in returns. Those things increase job. You have Liberians in this country who will come and get on their platform and tell you the country is not good, the country is bad. Social media spread a wildfire. They're intimidating investors from going to the country. That's okay. But what the president is doing, he's firstly trying to retain me, not getting rid of people from government. That's why the salary adjustment. Why if the CEO failed to allude to, which I said earlier, Alien had a very disorganized salary structure. There was nothing like government salary structure. I don't know about South Korea, whether they can hire people like that. But in the United States here, government structure are based on the GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4. Let me land.
I will let you
I'm about to finish now, please. I'm about to finish.
Let me eject before I forget. Let me eject. I will give you the time, but let me eject. Right. We keep criticizing Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's structure of payment. I respectfully disagree, but that's a whole different topic. I just want to let you know.
Government is hand over take over. You just heard Gabriel saying the president assumed things. So does that prevent early conversation here? No. Gabriel want to go into things. I have to go into things. So let me come back to the CEO here, right? Let me come back to the CEO here. The CEO need to understand that government is not in the business of making I keep getting interruptions.
We gotta engage.
Answering the question. Interrupting. So, guys, let me finish. All right, let me finish.
Protect the guest.
I just want the CEO to know and understand that government is not in the business of making profit but providing services. When we all pay our taxes, the government will grow the economy, more jobs will be created. But it would be a executive suicide for the president to just lay off people based on the lack of not having too much money. Gabriel spoke to the assumption of not looking at the coffers that we had in the central bank. So in order to create jobs, we need investors in the country. How many Liberians are out here commending the progress in the country, that we are doing well? Liberia is getting better, like the way the late Mamadi used to say. How many Liberians here are saying those things to encourage investors? Rather, we are looking at things and just castigating it. Even though we visit the country, we see things, we chill, we come out and say, man, I enjoy that country. But when they come back here, they're telling you that nothing works in the country. But today we see Jetty. Jetty is an Indian immigrant in our country who got no political intent, but he's trying to create jobs in the private sector. We are seeing Esther Mattel, we see the Western Cluster. These guys are over there trying to create jobs.
Okay. All right, really. We got
celebration we are doing this season. But we just want to criticize. Lastly,
thank you.
when you talk about the government creating more jobs, I cannot speak to that because if the government create more jobs, there will be a labor report. The Minister of Labor will come out and say, at the end of this month, these are the jobs that have been created. Ellen did not create jobs for Unity Party people. When you say job, we are create job for CDC, Ellen did not create job for Unity Party people. Mr. We will not create job and did not create job for sedition. It's for all Liberians. We are capacity challenged, but we'll talk about that in time to come.
Thank you. We want to recognize one of our guests here, Ted Lyon, and also our great panelists over there who just joined us, Alfred M. Konowa, Senior, and Teddy. I think you followed the discussion, and you're one of the staunch supporter of the Congress for Democratic Change, or Coalition for Democratic Change, as we say. You listened to the President's State of the Union address, and there were a lot of discussion and a lot of topics covered. So we're looking at the health, we're looking at the economy, we're looking at the I got some questions here for Randy, but I will hold that yet. Let me address the issue.
I got a question. What you expect?
His view is important. So, Teddy, what do you make of the President State of the Nation address few weeks ago? He bragged about the health sector. He bragged about a lot of surrounding issues on the economy, security, and the rest of it. Education. What do you make of that speech? I know you're a citizen. Was that speech real? Was it a real speech for the Liberian people?
No.
Was it
Ted Lyon is now a blind loyalist. I can say that for a fact. He's now a blind loyalist.
Teddy, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, there's a reason why. Oh man. Anyway, I'm Ted Lyon Yankon, chairman for operations in North Dakota for the CDC party. I would like to greet the platform and this is my family. And Mr. Randy Dapple, greeting to you. He's one of those I learn from. I always follow him. I wish this guy, be somebody who will be in the national radio, station where everybody listening to, like providing education for Liberians. I think that will help to resuscitate the society. And I see every one of you guys are, talk show hosts, including Randy and a lot of you, and most of you guys, like Brother Gabriel, probably he's a staunch supporter of Waka. But, you guys at Nitra, including his CEO, even though he beats on I don't know, probably somewhere with the ANC where he beats on the president a lot. But I thought you guys, you girls are talking about yesterday event, not like that past, because the overwhelmingness, is still within some of us. We are very, glad. This Liberia, for the President's State of Union, address, the President had to digest in some multiple development activities have been going on. So that's why he talked about 2 to 3 hours. He was not the only person who have spoken for 3 hours. Trouble did more than that. But opposition will always like to do a lot of spinning. I saw a lot of spins here from Gabriel, trying to twist things around. But CDC, the president, what the president said, the president speaks figuratively most of the time. And I think Rennie provided some education one time. One of the figurative speech of the thing the president spoke on that. Liberia will be just like Miami. That's not that. Absolutely, Liberia just like Miami right now, but we got the rich landscape. We have we look at the coastal line area, running, hit on that. If all that thing is in place, and Liberia will be just like my home, Grand Crew. I'm from Tobacco, one of the most beautiful part of Liberia. You understand? That have natural coconut, the most beautiful part of Grand Crew, in fact. Okay, Pinkley says. This is why, back in the days, the Europeans, they used to go up picnic, trip around there. Natural landscape. Right?
Try to conclude.
Okay, let me conclude, right? The president speaks figuratively, he touched on everything is about the foundation. The president have provided a lot of clinics, a lot of hospitals, most of the stuff getting in place. When it comes to health, education, the president has touched to some strategic places, like they provide free for the students, university students free tuitions, all these things. More than 3,000 teachers have been replaced. 150,000, 500,000 teachers have been replaced and be on salary. All these areas, places. Pardon me? Yeah.
Go ahead, Teddy.
Yeah. Go ahead. So you looking at the Redemption Hospital, all these things. You're looking at the in Nima County, the inland port. So insurmountable, uncountable. So I cannot really catalog everything like that, but there's a reason why. To conclude, that speech was brilliantly, edited, and the president spoke, with energy. He tried to show to the world that he's energized, not Waka. That's for someone to do that kind of. We need.
Yeah, Teddy, we gotta go. We gotta go.
Let me land.
Yeah,
but there are few negative factors that contributing to our illness. So I think this brother Rennie, one of those who at the time the president was related. I myself, I will only show that certain things I will admit to, certain things I will not admit to. At the time, our government, there was were trying to do some cleaning up. So president was not performing to some expectations. We saw Rennie King and Rennie Star really been hitting on our president. And somebody with a sedition, I really support the president. So why do that? But we look at some of the factors who don't want to just remain intransigent. You see the reality, but then you refuse to accept it. So things that fictional is going on. But then the president is doing well now. You see Rennie is supporting the president. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you. We'll go to our panelists there. Africa, so you got the last 5 minutes, and then we will take our 1 minute break and return for our next topic and discussion. So Konowa, you listen to the President's State of the Union address, and what do you make of it? One thing we're discussing anyway, he talks about increasing civil service salary now. That he said, I put in this 2023 fiscal budget and make sure that the people get increment. That's like 6 years. Why now? And a whole lot of other stuff he talked about when it comes to health. And, everybody don't have to come to Monrovia now. People can stay in their counties and get treated. Is that true? Go ahead, Konowa.
Well, I want to first of all say good morning to everyone on the show this morning. I also want to say thank you to Mr. J. Rennie Dapo for taking up his time to be here with us, to be able to justify his government position. But I'd like to say this. We should not sit here and allow Mr. Dapo and Mr. Yanku to lecture us about the reality on the ground. I will not sit here and allow Mr. Dapo to lecture me, because I know what Mr. Dapo failed to tell us here in his blame game is that he has not provided any information whatsoever. What was the budget that Mr. Weah met? What was the budget when he took power? What was the budget? What was our debt ceiling? What was our debt ceiling at the time when Mr. Weah took? And what was the borrowing pattern of the government of Madam Salif when she took power? How much money was borrowed? Because if you can remember, I can remember, I still to be corrected. The HEPE completion point that Madam Salif reached was obviously about the international debt that Liberia owed, about $4 billion, which was cleared up, which was forgiving. But the internal debt was not forgiving. That means people in Liberia that run services to the government were owing those people, and it was not paid. So Mr. Dapo was supposed to tell us how much was that? What was our domestic debt ceiling when his government took over? What was the amount of money in reserve as per the 3-hour note? As you may be aware, Mr. Johnson, Senator Johnson, who is an insider, told us on this platform that about $150 million was in reserve in a 10-hour note. Mr. President failed to tell us that. I would have expected Mr. Dapo to have gone into that nitty-gritty to tell us exactly how much money was our fiscal budget in 2019 when the president took over. What was our fiscal budget? What was the deficit? Before he can come and complain and say the government was not structural, the salary was disarray, people were taking high salary, there was high level of salary disparity. I agree with him in some instant that yes, in Madam Sally government, there was some level of high level of disparity when it comes to the salary. That is a fact. It's there, right? But he failed to provide all those information as it relates to how much money was our destiny, how much money was the country budget at the time they came to power. But the reality is this, Mr. Blackwood. This government, when they came to power, the guys were on a, how they call it, virtual hunt. They started stealing oil around the place. This government is on record of going into donors' fund. Let me tell you what happened in 2019. These guys, when they took power, they went, they stole all around the place. All around the place, stole. So now they now have money to deal with a real government process issue. They started going to donor fund to pay salary. So when they did that, the international community and IMF said, no, you cannot do this. When you continue doing that, we'll not be able to feed the government. We'll not be able to give you no credit facility for you. So when they did that, the IMF put key in their assets. I'm sorry for using that expression on the show. And told them,
be a little bit moderate.
The only way you will get money from the IMF is to put in strong fiscal policy. And one of the things that the IMF kind of recommended to them was the issue of harmonization.
You gotta be brief. Worried out of time.
Quiet. Let me let my point, right? Because Mr. Rennie and others come on the show here, they come and bring deception. I think Mr. Rennie is receiving on Spoon Talk. Maybe he's receiving una lady, so they don't want to tell the truth, right? We know the truth.
Just go to the point.
Let me let my thoughts. Let me let my thoughts.
Discussions though, Konowa, I'm time pressed. Like
so,
that's
so let me ask Mr. Rennie. Let me ask Mr. Rennie. Let me ask Mr. Rennie because Brother Gabriel put in asking the same question. He start talking about he want to teach people about about language here. But the fact of the matter here is that Mr. Rennie, please tell us after 5 years, it is done time that you know that 777 were being paid less as per the minimum wage. That 2023, you know that when you guys brought out the payroll, at 2023, you knew that. Please explain that to us.
Yeah, and Brother Alfred, thank you so much for your deliverance. I highly appreciate what you just said. Let me just start from the bottom to the top. I'm an engineer in this country called United States, and I'm paid very well in this country. All right. I don't like to brag about things, but hold on. I have the propensity to address it because misinformation can be taken in the tune of an eye.
No, I'm not stopping you. I want to say something for your own good. Can you be a little audible because I know you soft spoken like me? Just pick it up a little bit. That's what I wanted to say. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I mean, so I'm not getting anything from the government here. I'll be very upfront with you here.
Okay.
I'm not getting anything from the government. Every broadcast I do here, I ask people to donate $10, $5, and I'll even ask you, say, my name is J. Randy, that my cash app. Send me $20 so I can promote the government here. I don't take anything from the government. Any money I take from the government, it will be a consultancy that I have to atomize on my tax paper here. One thing I'm afraid of in this country is for me to be on the wrong side of the law, not to mention my affiliation with the Department of Homeland Security. But I understand that Liberians will always use this kind of distraction to boost the support from the opposition, but I'm not at that. Now, you asked for the budget. The budget in 2019 was $526 million. These things are just projection, but they will only come to fruition when you pay your taxes. So when Mr. Weah came to office, you did agree with me when it comes to the early disproportionate salary dispersion. What Mr. Weah and the finance minister has done, it is called salary structure by experience. The only thing I managed to tell the finance minister, I think it will be better that you got put a GS, and like certain bracket supposed to make this salary, because they are public servants. Their salary is supposed to be transparent, and to put it G1, G2, G3, mirror something like that. But Mr. Weah was faced with the question: what if we lay off people? Was it what can we do to keep people on the job? You would rather want to lay off people so that you guys can benefit? No. So he said we will commonalize the salary to keep people on the job and not to lay people off.
I gotta follow up to that.
Let me finish that.
Alfred, sorry you keep me late, but we gotta run. I'll be a little bit. Yeah, we gotta run. Go ahead, Rennie. Rennie, please be brief and conclude.
I'm about to conclude now. The $526 million, it was something that Mr. Weah, put up from the any administration and for his term of government, because they restructured that, if you recall. And the purpose was, how do we generate the money? It is the taxpayer out there that paying taxes for the government to be able to look at structure. The government today has decided that what they can see now, there is a forecast projection that there will be salary increment. Myself here, we just got an announcement last week that they're going to increase our pay. I hope my wife not listening yet, because she's not going to get some money because of our performance. All right. So these things are going step in step. So I will start there, Brother Masiko, but I know you get follow up. The conversation continues. I will still come back to you.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So, CEO, let's take a 1 minute break, and when we return, we will kick off our next discussion. Thank you, gentlemen.
CEO, you there?
Liberia,
Thank you for
Liberia is my home. Liberia is my home.
To have a better government, we need a good voice.
It's the time to come together. Keep Liberia. Liberia.
My people, where you at? Wake up from your slumber. Stop sleeping. Whip your hands.
Are we back?
It's the time to come together. Keep Liberia.
That's why you can pick up on that.
Yeah, I think you can go ahead.
All right, we're back, right? Okay. All right. So, So we're back to our next discussion. I know our first discussion did not end too well because it's a whole lot to unpack. But unfortunately, gentlemen, I apologize. We are time pressed, and hopefully in the future we can still delve into the conversation. So we'll be looking at the Senator Prince Johnson. He accused.
My people, where you at? Wake up from your slumber. Stop sleeping.
CEO, please look for your Anna. That's why I am myself.
I hope everything all right now. I will see you.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. You guys getting me? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Okay. So we will be looking at our next discussion. Senator Prince, why Johnson accused the Liberian government of assassinating him or threats to his life because he left the coalition and decided to walk away from the Coalition for Democratic Change arrangement, and he feels threatened. So again, we will go to Randy. I don't know if you heard the senator making those statements. What's your take on that?
Well, can you guys hear me now? Because I saw my mic
Yeah,
on mute.
Yeah, you're good. You're audible.
Yeah. Senator Prince Johnson is a very interesting individual, and by dating to the 1989 capturing of Samuel Kayando, when you start from there, you get to understand the characteristic of Prince Johnson. When he was on that walkie-talkie, Tanko, U.S. embassy, it got shut off. Up to now, he hasn't come out to tell us who was he really talking to and why he decided to call the U.S. embassy. With that foundation, I would like to say Prince Johnson is a very influential political figure for the people of Nema County. And there are times that Prince Johnson will play a very passive role, and there are times that he will play a very preventive role for not losing power. Now, 2023 having to be the role where he wants to be very, very proactive because he's due for re-election. And a re-election is going to be challenged by those who have felt that he needs to retire and they need to take over. So Prince Johnson is fighting his own self. Remember, Prince Johnson is on the list of those who have been sanctioned. And in order for him to participate in this election, he has to be bold. All right, he has to be frank. I would say what Prince Johnson is doing, it is his own political strategy that he decided to bring about. I think they're trying to assassinate him by asking the government for extra money. But everything that Prince Johnson has said, he is on record of saying if the president, if Mr. We have become president, there will be war in this country, right? And since after 6 years, there hasn't been no war. Senator Johnson enjoyed the privilege. I remember when Harrison Conway, the late Walker Bronsky, and CDC King crossed paths in 2017, there was a conflict, and he said, nobody going to do this thing to my county. So whatever Prince Johnson wants, he gets. But the question now is, why is he coming up now? Does Prince Johnson feel that his work in the county is not sufficient enough? And because he due for re-election, is that why he coming on and challenging the government? I don't know. But what I do know is the history of Senator Johnson. Senator Johnson, as a senator and as a Liberian, he has all right to ask any question he wants to ask, to say anything he wants to say. But what we can do as political analysts, talk shows, is to explain to the Liberian people the social political history of Senator Johnson, looking at his work in the county. And I would say for me, I think he has done well in his county. And I think what he has done for his county, he should look at the result and begin to convince his people that these are things that need to be done. Because Senator Johnson asking questions today that should have been asked a long time ago, and I believe the government of Liberia have provided clarity on that. I just think it wouldn't speak to Senator Johnson being proactive in trying to convince the people of Nema County how tough he is and why he should be re-elected. So he's just trying to protect his re-election bid. That's why he's making all these comments. But all these things have been talked about before.
Thank you. So our next guest, Teddy Lion, what do you make of Senator Johnson's statement? I know he was very cozy with the CDC-led government and the coalition anyway for democratic change, and things been fine. He's been praising the we-are-led government, but what happened now? What changed?
Oh well, obviously, it's glaring that any sound man that who reads between the lines very good and understands Liberia politics or what is going on in Liberia, you definitely place Prince Johnson within his own place. Like he only fighting for his survivability, for him to survive. According to this one, every transition of a government or in time for election time, what he done with President Weah, it's not that he's so much with President Weah, but he feels that maybe President Weah might lose the election or not. So you have to be playing that kind of game to know what the next person that will come in will be able to protect him. Only looking for his own self-protection. That's why he kind of looking for. But President Weah is not in any kind of a situation to protect him or anybody either. He's only trying to go by the timetable, how Liberians problem be solved at the same time developing. So whatsoever alliance he built with the CDC, Prince Johnson, at the time, he always let to create the escape route in the future. What would be the reason why he will say that, oh, I'm not with you again. So Prince Johnson, from the time he said that thing in that church, in the church hall, saying, oh, they will wreck the election, 2023. I'm a pastor. And a few days, I think yesterday, they asked him a question, on the phone talk. He said, he came, oh, I'm a preacher. I don't deny. I'm not going back to the CDC or so, he will not go back. Things like that. Prince Johnson said that just to create in the future, if you want some money you want to pay and play some situation, and President, we are not going to buy into that. We're not giving nobody money. Because so long Uncle Sam or what people have raised the red flag on those things, President Weah, CDC, government, not going to strike any deal with anybody. I'm going to pay you before you do so before you support me. Let me just learn on something on this.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah. So Prince Johnson only looking for a way to survive. That's it. And second, he feels that maybe the war code crime situation, it might come on him and trying to create a kind of a confusion that if they gave him some kind of a password. But everything will be on the book. The law is the law. Liberians, the Nima County people, Prince Johnson is not only fighting for just the Nima County, but only fighting for himself. I want people to understand. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you very much. Alfred, I don't know if you have a question for the guest or you have a comment, but we're looking at Prince Johnson. This is a guy who's been very cool with the Coalition for Democratic Change. He supported and defended Weah constantly in the 6 years. Now we're drawing close to the election. What changed? What's your thought on that? Go ahead, Konwa.
Firstly, before I ask my question to Mr. Dapo, I'd like to say this. The amount of deception in our politics is something that concerns me. It concerns me a whole lot. This is now the kind of politics that we need in the 21st century, where people are so much concerned about their self-greed. But let me say this. When it comes to the CDC, the last 6 years, you see, everybody's saying they are not satisfied. They are not happy the way the CDC, quote unquote, CDC, Congress for Democratic Change, treated the other parties. Yesterday, Mr. Tyler was on Spoon and talking about his dissatisfaction as it relates to how the government treated them in the last 6 years. It's not only Prince Johnson alone. We have Senator Barney, who also said that they were mistreated. So let's see, it's not about Prince Johnson himself. There is a clause within the coalition that talks about governance process. And what these guys did, the citizens, what they did along with the president, they feed out the political party and they came to power by themselves. So they could do anything. They marginalized the rest of the other parties that were in the coalition. And this is a glaring fact. So for Mr. Dapo to come here to kind of to take Prince Johnson down heavyweight, Prince Johnson is irrelevant now. It's far-fetched. Because I tell you what, Prince Johnson is a very heavyweight in our politics when it comes to Nima County. No doubt about that. It's not about Prince Johnson himself. But what we are seeing now, in the next few months, what we are seeing with the lives of Senator Kun in the picture, what I'm seeing here is that the Nimba County wants to have a vice president. And because they have the vote, they are going to ensure that this election, someone come from Nimba County who will be vice president. And I can see for sure, if Senator Kun play his card well, he will be the number 2 on any political party that want to have Prince Johnson on their side. And with Prince Johnson leaving the CDC, it's a big blow. It's a big blow to the CDC. No doubt about it. We're watching, see what happens to the other political parties. I'm watching keenly to see what Bani will do. I'm watching keenly to see what Tala will do when he returns back to the country. But now this is a question I have for Mr. Dapo. You guys had a program yesterday, whereas the coalition supposed to have a resolution to nominate the president. There's a whole lot of process I can go through that. Nomination process, the primaries, and all of that from the political parties. Why did that not happen? And we see people on the stadium nominating the president. So who nominated the president to be the standing bearer of the coalition, when in fact the coalition document has been expired?
That's a very good question from you, and I want to appreciate you for that as well. But what I would like to say here, a few things that you said. Number one, you said everybody is saying that things not going well in the country. That is not a true statement. There are people who see progress in our country. When you say everybody, that means you're looking at it over 5 million people.
No. I said the coalition was very specific. No. I said leaders in the coalition was Democratic complete. We saw the struggle with the NPP. We saw the struggle between the vice president and the chairman Bani, where they were fighting over who is the leader in the party. How they were treated in the coalition. I'm not saying the entire country. I'm talking about the coalition. I'm talking about the coalition.
When you were speaking
about your previous statement.
Exactly. When at the initial stage,
before the question, you made some statement. That's why he's responding to.
Thank you very much for the clarification, Master. Alfred, you said something that was very blanket in nature, and which I believe everyone on here will agree that not everyone in the country is saying that things are not going well. I just want to provide clarity on that. The second clarity I want to provide, I did not say Prince Johnson is not a significant person in the party. No, in fact, I gave Prince Johnson historic, a political, a social history. What I said is Prince Johnson is facing re-election, and he is saying things that have already
will benefit himself.
That let me finish. I'm speaking. I'm not dead. All right. That provided information that have been provided already, and I said what Mr. Johnson needs to do and focus on is what he has done for the people of Nimba County. That is something that I believe Mr. Johnson needs to focus on. I did not say that Mr. Johnson is not a valuable person. No, I said he has the weight, but he's now facing himself for re-election, and it's between rock and hard places now. All right. And let me just bring this to your close attention. The United States government has said that people who have been sanctioned should not be engaged with people who are doing business in the country. That's a whole nother thing we need to unpack here. But for the sake of the conversation, I will not go there. And that is why today you don't find Prince Johnson. Is that something that bothers Prince Johnson? I don't know. But what we do know is there are restrictions that have been put in place. Now, when you talk about the CDC day of giving the president a commitment, you got to understand that political party are structured. Sedition are part of the entire nucleus of the Coalition for Democratic Change. It was not a collaborating political party endorsement. It was partisan endorsement. So when you ask that question, I think you are jumping the gun because we don't know the series of steps that the party is going through. So I can just see something one day and say, oh, why? But the question you're asking is very significant because it put things into context as to how well structured you are in terms of asking questions. But what I can do for you is to tell you that the party has a structure. These are done by faces or structure. So yesterday, it was all about the partisan trying to give their or a show or ask the president to go and bid for the next round. Will there be another one? If that did not happen until you get to 2023, that when you can come back and say, Randy,
Mr. Randy, I respectfully disagree.
Alfred, we gotta go. Alfred,
yesterday's nomination was only the CDC. Then I would
I said,
Alfred, no, Alfred, we gotta go. We gotta go. We're on a speed down.
Right?
Yeah, we gotta go. When we have a whole house, is a little challenging. We have to keep voting. We got people up there that want to come.
Coalition part. So when I say CDC, I'm not talking the CDC itself. Like I said, it was a partisan going out there to give the president the opportunity, and there will be another phase. Well,
thank you.
As well.
Oh, excuse me, sir. Max, before you proceed, brother, let me just hit on that just a little bit, right? What I personally, observe in the whole thing, we have the coalition. We are still together. Remember, there was a resolution I was signed before that whole event. Yeah. Please, Konowa. Okay, one thing you should see within the Liberian society right now, what are people who honor the chairman or honor those who not put in support with Joao Taylor, but Liberians in general. You saw that crowd yesterday. Is to tell you that cross carpet to all political parties. Liberians they will come out and they will vote President George Weah.
All right, thank you, Teddy. Thank you. We gotta go.
It's not only coalition will take us, but Liberians will find reason that people are running double in that sedition, but they will find a genuine reason to support and vote the president.
I hope that Mr. Dabo will be here
so you should be very careful what is coming with. Because of the good work of TDC over the years.
Gabriel, before we go to the CEO, what's your take? We all know Senator Johnson was this cool guy with the coalition, and now he's kicking back. What's your take? If you have a question for the guest or you have a comment or statement, go ahead. You got 5 minutes. Let us try to be brief. Thank you.
Okay, let me just briefly say this. The president in his State of the Nation address said exclusively that his overarching goal as a president is to protect lives and property. And I can say this though. I mean, over the years we have been seeing the trend. The little Ada Lawrence with the CDC, and when he went neck to neck and started challenging the CDC, he took a walk back. We saw what happened to him, and I'm not saying definitively that the CDC is the one that killed him, but there were finger pointed to, the CDC that it was a plot. And we also this lady Swakoko Dennis, she said that she had been threatened so many times, and because of her great stance against the CDC, and now we are getting another one from the senior senator. I would just like to say this though. Based on the arrogance, the exuberance, the intolerance of the CDC, somehow people just link them to every bad things. Everybody. We saw in district number 13 when Jefferson Koji took colors. He went at that, when
Cornelius Kratopa
was running. So we saw when Jefferson Koji took colors and he started working against a group of people. We saw this little boy, Alfred Sululu, Patrick Sululu from the SUP, how the ball was dragged, and people were even saying that it reminds us of the dark days when Prince Johnson even dragged the late Samuel Kedo. So based on those things, everything, and we saw Jefferson Koji. He went to this place, Nima County, and started inciting people against Prince Johnson. And Prince Johnson even spoke of the disrespect. So if Prince Johnson is saying this kind of thing, people will try to sit, analytical people will try to sit and somehow try to link, even if it is not the CDC, but based on their intolerance, their arrogance, their insensitivity, people might just want to link them to it. They just want to link them to it. So I would just like to say this, the president said, I would just like to add Mr. Rennie very quickly. The president said one of the constitutional duties or a overarching goal as a government is to protect the constitutional rights of the people. So how can we say this is true when we saw as soup or official or a soup student who went to protest for his own right was dragged at that? We saw COP people when they went to protest. I mean, we saw how violated their rights were violated. People started spraying, hot water on them. People started running behind them. We saw so many protests were dispelled by the CDC government. And we saw counter-protests. We heard the word counter-protest from the CDC. Anytime you talk about CDC, anytime you talk about protest, CDC will say there will be a counter-protest. So how can this president say his overarching goal as a government is to protect constitutional right? How can you protect constitutional right when you are engaging or trying to bring about counter-protest? That's just my question to Mr. Dapo.
Yes, and thank you so much again for that beautiful explanation. But there are some charity or hole in there, and we got to patch it a little bit. Now let's start from the bottom top. The issue that happened during the protest of the student of the Unification Party. Today, the president, after that event, the president came out and said there's no COP. And up the record, there's none. Is there any CDC COP? No.
Yes.
The president came out and said that organization is no longer. If anybody somewhere forming their own organization, they are doing it outside of their own will. Now, the kid have been treated, but the kid himself hasn't come out now to tell us what is his current condition. Is he being coached and counseled by opposition to say, hey, what the president has done for you, don't go out there to make him look good. Just live your life. Because I'm sure if something bad happened to that kid, since he got injured, he will still be in the news today. But why are we seeing him today? We're not seeing him today, right? So that means everything is okay. He's not missing. He's in our country. He's enjoying himself. So we got to be very, very careful. Now,
but he was mediated. You saw it on Facebook.
And the president took action.
So are you suggesting that?
Let me finish.
Are you suggesting, Mr.
Gentlemen, we got
Are you suggesting that
Alfred,
the president had to be there though? Are you saying that the president getting more money to do that?
Alfred.
When we know the president ain't doing it, talk about it more.
Alfred, I'm moderating the show. I'm in charge. Protect our guests.
Okay.
Thank you.
Protect our guests. We can't do cross talking. We can't do cross yelling. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So what I was saying here to Gabriel and everyone out there, the president took an immediate action after seeing that video. And we all heard the president. I have that video where he said there will be no COP, CDC COP, and that group has been completely diminished. They are no longer around. The kid, according to the president, was going to be treated not from his budget, but he said the kid will be given proper treatment beyond the boundary line of Liberia. And with that being said, where is the kid today? He's not missing. He's in the country. But I think it would be fair for him to come back here and say, I have been treated. Here is me now. I'm good. I'm doing well. But because people don't want to commend the goodwill of the president, Brother Gabriel, so they will shield these things. They will hide these things from the public glare. But I can tell you that there's nothing happening doing it. As far as Jefferson Koji holding collars in District 11, I'm not sure whether that is true because there is some video evidence to that. And there is some pictorial evidence to that. And you know the technology today. People can manipulate Photoshop to do anything. All right. So I will just leave it as that because I saw the video evidence. I didn't see any colors there. I didn't see people in the community who are past and that came out and said, yes, I saw him. he did this. That's all I'm saying. I'm only basing my reference on the video I saw and the pictorial evidence that I saw. I will leave it as that.
CEO, you there? Yeah, you. I will give you 1 minute.
CEO, you are frozen.
CEO, you there? Okay, Kono, just 1 minute, please. I'm time pressed.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Because this is a serious matter we are discussing here. You know.
Yeah. 1 minute.
When Brother Gabriel raised the issue, Mr. Dabo tried to, she got the issue here. There was an arrest.
Are you guys hearing me?
There was an arrest that was made after this student was implicated. What happened to that investigation? What happened to that investigation? Do you care to tell us what happened to the investigation? And then you assuming that the president there was a good way from the president to this kid that was being brutalized, and because of that, people trying to shoot him. What happened to that investigation? People were arrested that are members of the CDC. They were arrested. One of them was Ben Billy Toba, who was arrested and was charged in Senate court. What happened to the investigation? What happened to the court procedure? Up to now, that case has been attacked. We didn't hear about it. What happened to it?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, and I will answer it in a jiffy. Number one, I did not say the president spent his money. I said the president took immediate action. Remember, the president is the leader of the country. There are different capacity of functionaries in the government. So as far as the kid getting medical treatment, the president only showed concern as the first citizen of the country, letting the people know that he is very much aware and abreast with the situation and provided the mitigation to the situation. Now, as far as the gentleman,
what do you mean by provided mitigation to the situation? What do you mean by
that? Mitigation means, remember, there is always a preventive. Remember, there's always a preventative measure, and there's always the after effect measure that look at the mitigation of the situation. So, as far as providing medical care to recovery, that is the mitigation process. That's what I meant by mitigation. Now, when it comes to the president, when it comes to the question you're asking about those who have been handled by the Justice Ministry, the president is not the Minister of Justice, and not every case will come from the president. There are layers or category of cases. I think it would be fair enough to walk to the Justice Ministry, to walk to the police officer, and even as lawyer for the guy, and begin to ask them. We cannot just focus on the president. That will undermine our ability to perform. That's why I said 1847 up to present, we have been capacity challenged. We have been incapacitated in giving power and function to our government. How do we create the competency? The competency of our ministry agency, we should be able to ask them. So when you are putting the question to the president, you are telling us that from 1847, even Madam Seditan, that we don't have the capacity to trust our institution. But there is something called due process. If I were you, I will ask questions directly to the Justice Minister and say, what has happened to this case? Not to the president, because the president had already dismantled the group. Whatever happened, you admitted that people were arrested. What's stopping that arrest from moving forward? Go to the institution that is responsible, because that is your participating right as a Liberian citizen. Honor our democratic process of participating and asking questions. But I think that you are not doing your fair duty. Honor your responsibility as a citizen in the democratic process where you're supposed to participate by asking questions. I will leave it at that.
Thank you very much, J. Rennie, for that response. CEO, you there? You good now?
CEO, you get it? I'm loud and clear, brother. What's going on?
My man, you need to go out and come back. Go out and come back.
You guys hear me?
Your pitch, yeah, I'm hearing, but your pitch.
I'm hearing you, man. You guys not hearing me?
No, we're hearing you. Just
your motion is slow. He will improve. He will improve.
Yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
All right, CEO. Yeah, we're up to you. Do you have question for the guests? We got two guests on the panelists today, and On the panel, we have
Am I
we hear
audible?
you. You're audible. You just got some
Just a
cracky.
minute, gentlemen.
Carry
Is
on.
it better now?
When he settled, then we can. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we
go
hear.
ahead.
We hear you. Just your video, your picture is frozen, but we hearing you. Your audio is good. Yeah, your audio is good.
Okay, if you guys hear me clearly, I think it's better. Am I good to go?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. So yeah, we'll conclude with you before we move to our next. No, we'll conclude with you before we move to our next topic, and then by that time we'll read some of our comments, and then the numbers will be up for callers. Then we're about to wrap up.
I hope you know it's almost 12 midnight here in Korea. We got like 27 minutes, 25 minutes.
Don't go back. That's why I kept saying I'm time pressed. We have a house full. We have a whole house full. So it's not easy to let everybody express their view. But go ahead. Ask questions to the guests, or you can make a statement. We'll move on.
Make this clear. Let me just make this point. There's something they call greed and pomposity. That's why the CC with. You know what sent Lucifer down from heaven? Is it the spirit of pomposity? That's what sent Lucifer down from heaven, and that he can no longer go back. I listened to our big brother, Randy on here, and I'm just shocked that our big brother, that we'd expect at least to be able to push the younger one to the rightful point, but instead helping the younger one to go to the wrong route. Gentlemen, let it be very clear. He mentioned earlier that as to whether somehow we got property back home, so whether we pay taxes thing. It is not my fault that I have property back home and then I don't pay tax. It is not my fault. I would say extra taxes. It's not fault the CZ government will not set up a system where taxes will be collected from properties owned by people. It is not my fault. We know in the Western world how we live. Your house you live in, you pay taxes. And trust me, if you don't pay this month, the next month it can't double. So it is not my fault if the CC government do not set up all of these programs, that the citizens have to follow. Just people in our country, the 3 boys from Simosi that passed away, how far have the investigation gone? Princess Copper, babies have been raped, young girls, people have been killed, all of the auditors. Even the high court said the police guy said who died in Grand Jude. The EPS officer who also died in Tapeta. He was shot in the head 3 different times. What the report have we gotten from our government? Where did the investigation go? And people want to come on this platform to sugarcoat thing and make the people to understand that everything is just a bread and butter in the country, that George Weah is doing very well. Hell to the no. Weapons were being arrested recently in Liberia. What the outcome? Cocaine were being at the port. What's the investigation right now? About $1 million US worth of cocaine were being found at the free port of Monrovia. What's the outcome of it right now? So many mysterious deaths in the country. No justice for the poor. Where are we going as a country? I mean, it is very important. We elect leaders, better systems. That's why we elect good leaders, so that we can have a better system. It is why I see it happen in Guinea, in Conakry, or Cote d'Ivoire. That is still happening in Liberia. No. He put this guy there so at least the Liberian people life can be better. We should have companies coming in the country that can be able to provide jobs for its citizens. Not for government to be squeezing 5% in one office that expected 2 people to be, the government squeezing about 5 or 10% in that office, just so at least at the end of the day they can say they get the partisan job. Where are we heading to? How many investors have come in the country since CDC took over? How many private sectors are there that we can boast of today and say we got about 10,000 Liberians being employed? But all that we see, leaving the country, one after another. Where are we going as a people? And then now people still want to trust this government for the 6 years.
You are muted, Massacre. You are muted.
20 million.
CEO, we right now focus on Senator Johnson. I think you're going off the discussion.
Liberia is not a playground. And let me just end right at T-Max. I will take 30 seconds to end. If anybody feel that Senator Johnson is not important in Liberia, you'll be wasting your own time. One good thing you understand, all of these political parties, they have a constituent. For example, the CDC, we all understand that CDC, the backyard is Montserrat County. When you go to Liberty Party, we know that the backyard of Liberty Party is Grand Bassa County. And we know that it is county. The Unity Party, that Estena Barra is Joseph Human Braga, we know it is Lova County. And then the MDR, we know it is Nema County. Remember that Estena Barra for the MDR and that of the chairman of the Guardian Council, the both of them are senators for Nema County. These are the people that control the county. So the statement has been, all the men.
No, we gotta go. You the same person. Tell me.
Yeah, I mean, right here.
I don't mind.
Just to make
you personally, I don't mind. But it's you. When you hear me telling you we gotta go, it's you and you guys in Asia. For me, I don't mind. We can be out here.
Prince Johnson came out to make it very clear to the public that he no more support the CDC.
Yeah, frozen again. I think
it's start rolling.
Right. So, gentlemen, I think that's it. Yeah. So, CEO, you can put the numbers up. Gabriel, you want to help out with some of the comments?
Masekwe, can I make a quick comment quickly?
Yeah, 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay, sure.
Press 1 minute.
So the CEO talk about taxes. And you know, what is the role of a citizen in a society? When I was talking about the taxes, I asked the question here. I'm not paying taxes. So if I can admit that I'm not paying taxes on property that I own in Liberia, I'm admitting to the fact that I hold a civil responsibility. So because the government don't come to him, so that means he shouldn't go to the government. No, that's just being very unfair to the government. Now he talked about the shooting of the EPS and other people. Things happen, investigation will take place. Hold the appropriate authority responsible. Rape. Between 2015 and 2016, the rape in the country prior to Ellen Johnson leaving was around 890 rape cases that were never solved. So it had been going on. Even the guy who raped a 13-year-old girl. What happened to the Ellen-led government, but Western guy Finley? All right. You see, when we discussing things, we got to look at the history of what people tolerate, our tolerance level in our country. This government is doing and making progress on how to alleviate this thing. This government is the first government in the history of Liberia that is very transparent when it comes to Facebook. No government in history has been seen on Facebook. Whatever the president does, you see it. It is, yes, no, it's true. Ellen Johnson said it, there were no Facebook Live.
I've read something you to laugh.
You know, but this government is not in the mirror of Facebook. Now, after the president term is done, let's see how tolerant other government will be when it comes to transparency. I doubt it won't be that way.
Thank you.
Let's not come into the country It is
Thank
up
you.
to us.
Please let me make a comment, please. Please let me make a comment. I beg you, moderator. I beg you.
You're kidding me. Like I said, the issue part I really worry about because it's late on the end. So we got to, that's why I always do with time press. But if we were here earlier, good.
Gabriel, I see you. I beg you.
Go ahead.
Oh, but your panelists cannot make the work that, accusation against the government about those killings. Even
No,
though
I know. But if you stay here to clarify,
on that, but these are things. One of your panelists, like Gabriel, very good at crafting propaganda. And
I think earlier, so within
okay.
that time frame, that's where we work. That's my point. So it's not
Let
like
me respond.
so we work within that time frame. Yeah.
Here's a question. Bring out 15 minutes. Don't get addressing when the red plate are being sent out here. But Mr. Dapo, please.
CEO, you got a problem in your end, man. Your
There's a question I wanted to ask. This question, because
CEO, your line is so bad.
we're
not getting
I listen. Everybody came to us, asking questions and trying to butcher. Mr. Rand said CC is one of.
Yeah, we're not getting you. Gabriel, can you please read some of our comments?
How can you tell
Gabriel,
CC is the most
at least add 10 minutes to this conversation will beg you.
I've been playing.
Try again respond.
Let's go. No problem. Let's go.
All right. So, Konowa, 1 minute. Please.
Thank you very much.
Go.
It is a blatant and a diabolical lie from Mr. Dapo to insinuate that the most transparent government in the history of Liberia is President George Manneh Weah government. That is not true. Now, let me go back to bring out some of the points that this government has failed to do.
1 minute.
No problem. I will do my best in 1 minute. What happened to the investigation of the District 13 saga with Jefferson County? What happened to that investigation? What happened to the investigation of the District 15 saga when they were running? Banner was running as representative. What happened to the 3 Mason boys? Up to now, we have not had a closure to that. And you are telling us that the government is transparent. What happened to the $16 billion that got missing? What happened to the $25 million map of SSI by 712? What happened to Sulu when he got beaten by surrogates of the CDC? And you admitted on the show today that there was mitigating intervention by the president, and you failed to tell us what was that mitigating intervention. Well, you can't tell us that the government was transparent. How do you deal with that? Tell me, sir. How do you address that?
No, Alfred, you guys are really prolonging. But yes, please, 1 minute. We gotta go.
Yes.
Go ahead. We gotta go.
I think
they're making more accusations, and we gotta respond to that.
We're asking questions.
All these accusations against the government, you gotta give Mr. Dapo, chance to respond.
But that's why I told you. He said he has statement. Now he asking questions.
So you come to Mr. Dapo to speak on that thing.
So
go ahead.
I think Brother Alfred need to pay very close attention to what I keep saying here, because he's just reacting on emotion rather than on the understanding of what I'm saying.
If we have calls, you guys can pick up the calls. Go ahead.
I said when it comes to transparency, all right, this government, through the eyes of social media, has been very in the spotlight of social media. Everything Mr. Weah has done has been always on Facebook. We've seen it from every part of the world that we have been. And that is the transparency there. There have been no government in our history. Just how you see today, the police in America have been videotaped on most of the things they used to have in the past. Mr. Weah government is the first government that is going through a transparent process. Road development. We see things that are going on. We criticize. That is part of the transparency I'm talking about. As far as the $16 million mob go, you have the audit that was done. A earmark what was in that report, that there was nothing missing. The documents are out there. Unless you want to do your independent investigation, Mr. Alfred, take that document, follow up with the company, the crew company, the Philadelphia here. You can come here, dispute the error, go there and dispute what are not the truth. Boys getting missing, people getting missing. There are people that are getting missing all the time. But are we lacking the capacity, the competence to get these things? Because when people get drowned, do we have the expertise? Police are just peacemaker in the community. When somebody died, do we have the forensic team? Are we capacity challenged? Are we competency challenged? Those questions are relevant for you to ask the appropriate authority. Start going to the president all the time. Make your question and apply it to the ministers that are in charge. You in a car seat right now. When the police pull you over, they're not going to ask passenger. They're going to ask the driver. Everyone got their responsibility. So the question you are asking, results have been provided. If you still have doubt, did you bring missing boy, rape cases, go to the institution with your evidence and have a sit down. That is your constitutional protected activities. And not everything, the president. Then get the president degree 88A. No minister, no nothing. Let's see how things will be done. Let's be honest here, folks. Sorry there, Master.
Thank you. Thank you, Renee, for that response. So, Gabriel, you want to read like maybe a few of our messages? We gotta know we have a lot. While we the lines are open. The audience, you can call. Our viewers, you can call if you want to make your point. The lines are open now. The numbers are right there. You can call on WhatsApp. You can call the direct line. Both.
The comment, let me just note this, that I mean, when it comes to the issue of technology and everything being on Facebook, I don't think it's at the will and pleasure of CDC. It's because they wanted that. I think it's because of a transformation in technology.
That's a tolerance. In North Korea right now, what are they doing in North Korea? What are they doing in North Korea?
I come in 1 minute.
No, you want to make a point. What are they doing in North Korea right now? It's called exercising your constitutional protected right. The president signed the Adula freedom of speech. So be careful how you make the kind of comparison.
I'm coming. 1 minute, please.
Gabriel.
1 minute, please. Yes. We have
let my panelists name.
Yeah.
So let my panelists name. We protect you guys, protect our panelists too. Gabriel, go ahead.
Let me say that it's because of the transformation in technology. I stand to be corrected, but I'm not sure during early time we have too many people knowledgeable about Facebook Live. We never knew about StreamYard. We never knew about other apps that you can easily go and just, scrutinize things and just put people on Facebook. Right now, all the children, 18 years, 15 years, everybody's on Facebook. Things were not like that before. Everyone's smartphone is very, very cheap now. So it is not because the government want to be transparent. It's because technology has transformed. Everybody know about Facebook Live. Anything you do right now is not in hearing. Gentlemen, will I take this call? I'm begging you before we go to
I will answer. Go ahead.
I would like to inject.
No, we got a caller. We got a caller. Go ahead.
We'll take it on that later, my brother. We'll take it on that.
Please go ahead. Yeah, you are live on the Diaspora Talk.
All right. Good morning from my end, from the state of Delaware. This is Fetty. Always doing French. I have.
I just want to know: is the caller audible?
Little bit.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Yeah, he's good. Let him go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You gotta go.
Yeah,
Mr. Dabo, can you hear him?
All right.
Yeah, I can hear him.
This was to the CEO. No bad feelings. Is it possible that he pull up the hat of the vessel and see your face?
Is that all you got?
Or like that. And to Mr. Alfred, when the moderator asks a question, you got to stick. The answer has to be based on that question. The moderator asked you about Prince Johnson's statement at a point in time. You did not answer that question. You went straight to CDC program. I think that was off. And you and Brother Gabriel, you had to stick to the question. Your answer will be based on the question they asked you. Mr. Riley right there stuck. He listened to the question pretty well, and he gave the answers to the question based on based on what Prince Johnson had been doing.
Thank you.
So I don't think you have to bring out emotion on the show, but just speak straight to the point.
Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. Let's take another caller, gentlemen. We have so many callers. 1 minute.
Can I respond?
No. We gotta take calls.
1 minute. So, hello, caller. Please call your name and tell us where are you calling from.
Yeah, my brother. Let me say thank you to my brothers on live. My name is Maurice Masakwe, calling from Belgium.
Okay, quiet.
Yeah. Let me say something to, I don't know, you're CEO or who general. I hear him talking about creating job for the people. First of all, I just want to say something to him. The foundation that the president laying in our country, I think so it will come a time more companies will go to that country. Because first of all,
my man, if you want to be respectful, then we'll not continue.
Stable current in the country, a good rule, a good running water. And I see that president all a focus going on stable electricity, good running water, and good roads. So those are things that will bring investors into the country. If we cannot inquire all of that, we will not see investors coming to any country when I get those things I'm talking about.
Thank you.
So the president know exactly that the Liberian people need the youth need to get a job. So that's the reason he's tackling the major things. So
thank you so much.
You're giving a flower while you are living. So thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you. Let's take another caller on this line, on this same line, gentlemen. Let's just take another caller. The lines are blinking now. Let's just take another caller. Hello. Okay. Maybe we can just allow Mr. Dapo to respond. Then I think the caller is now.
Yeah. So what I would like to say, Brother Gabriel, maybe I didn't put that in my intro. I have been in the Liberian politics since 2010. There wasn't the popularity of Facebook.
But 1 minute we got a call on it.
Yeah. So when you talk,
go ahead. Your name and where you call from.
All right, I will just hold a call until you.
My name is Commander Lagwe Blair, calling from New York.
Go ahead.
Yes. I wanted to know. I just wanted to say something quick and probably ask one question.
Go ahead.
There's one of your panelists that said that in Korea, the government increased wages yearly. I leave 50 cents, 1 cent, 20 cents, blah blah blah.
Go ahead.
And, I wanted you to know that. In Liberia, we have been one of the nations that produce high quality rubber for almost 100 years. We've been producing high quality rubber without even getting only a rubber band factory. And it was because of the far-sightedness of this president and the mercy of JT. Today they are building a tire manufacturing site in Wiyala, Bon County. So this caller is telling me that can he compare the Korean economy to that of Liberia? Because in Korea they manufacture. In Liberia we don't. We only sell raw material at a low price. In a low man way, we buy your aid. And there are no infrastructures that an investor can see to be brave to carry his money. Not have road to even transport a produce or a equipment. If you want to open factory in Yagaya, there is no way to even transport the equipment there to set up the factory. You don't have road, you don't have power, you don't have water. And these are the things this government working on. In the absence of these things, we cannot have a stable economy to employ everybody. And then there is no part of the world I ever see government be the employer. Government can now be the employer. Even in this Korea where you live, 50% of employees are working with companies or other entities. So we need to come to our senses and rather. I'm not backing this government. I'm not, even though I'm a Liberian, but everywhere you fall, you should know where you stomp your toes, not where you fall.
Thank you.
Yes, so
Thank
the
you so
past
much.
government is clean. They did not put anything on for this government. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Hello,
Master
caller.
Caller.
Your name and where call from. We got a call. We got a phone it down. Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Augustus, and I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Go ahead, Augustus.
First and foremost, I don't know Rennie Dapo's stand because he flip-flopped a lot. One day he will support President Weah, say the good things about President Weah. Another day he will support Mr. Comey, say the good things. So he flip-flopped a lot. I've been following Rennie for a long time, and he's not constant. So I don't know what measure he preach or what he has to say, because most of people of any kind, they claim to be politicians, and I don't see if the politics work in the field, because you cannot. Because at the end of the day, they will say that Liberian politics, one day politician will leave on one party and go to another party, from another party to another party. So they were ready this thing and they claim to be politicians. However, I think one of Liberia's problems is leadership. So everybody will have their own thoughts on how Liberia should run. But if we don't have the structure put in place to govern Liberia will still regarded as we are moved today. Whoever comes there, Liberia will still be where it is today. Manaseri took Liberia from square zero, because everybody on the panel know that Liberia after the war, we were at square zero. So because of any leadership, Liberia started to get back on her feet. And the 6th year, the 12th year we get Ellen, everything was not okay, but Ellen did a good job to get Liberia where it is. So when President Weah came, they came under this macho like change for hope. So we that supported him at the time, we felt that on all the Western President Ellen did, George Weah would have been the one to fix all the Western. But when he came to power, because you will notice the people that he appointed in government, they're where his problems start to come from, because they are Liberian, they're entitled to benefit from anything Liberia has, but they are not ready yet. They are not ready yet.
Thank you, my brother.
Let me just conclude.
Yeah, please be brief. We got a lot of callers on the line. Please go ahead.
Okay, so those structure, more especially the people, those Liberian are Edison and Broad should have used them, because that's the intent. Because even the South Korea you talk about, that's what they do. After the Civil War, they sent a lot of Korean abroad. When they came, when they went the line, when they came back, they were absorbed in Korea, in the government. But they did not start from the top position. They start from the business, like the sub-managerial position, and later on when they work their way up the ladder. But in Liberia, on the President Weah time, he reversed it, just brought so many incompetent people and put them in position, and all of them look up to him. So
thank you.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your view. Gabriel, you got a call there, or we done?
No, we don't have a call here. So
okay,
before
Gabriel, before we move forward, we have a changing protocol. We were not there into our last topic due to time, so now we'll give our panelists time to speak on the topics we have, and also our guests if they want to answer and elaborate. So we'll probably have like 30 more minutes, and then we'll be wrapping it up. So I think that's fair for everybody. Thank you, gentlemen. So Gabriel, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think it's fair for Randy to respond, because they allowed us to say about him, and also a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
so Randy, you want to respond to some of the callers?
Definitely. And thank you so much, brother Gabriel. As I was saying, Gabriel, before the other set of call came in, I've been in Liberian politics since 2010. I don't know where you guys were at that time. But during those days, we were only using radio to communicate into Liberia. We saw the Eden administration. We had a discussion on social media. It was just text discussion. At the very last year of Eden term, few more months to the end of her term, is when Facebook Live came on. And that when Liberians started to buy into that. So I can see the difference from the past and see the difference today. And what the government is doing today is promoting the transparency through social media that also present a political environment in contemporary political setting in our country. Now, every caller that said things about me negatively, positively, I want to tell them thank you. But to those who say I feel flat, the guy from North Carolina, do you think if people were agreeing to racism, he would be in North Carolina today? No. You see, Jay Randy is guided by 3 principles in life. One is equity, transparency, and equality. If I decide to support Mr. Cummings, and Mr. Cummings is telling me that he cannot go to District 11, District E17 because the people will not vote for him, I don't see that as a political individual. And when I say if you don't do it, then I cannot support you. Why? Because this is not business. Business environment will tell you, say, we're not going to certain geographic because we're not making profit. Politicians will say, we'll see that community as a battleground, we'll go there. Cummings is very inconsistent. Everything Cummings said turned out to be the wrong. He said we can't keep doing the same thing over and over. That was his tone he set when he came to Liberia. What does that manifest to be? You're bringing people who destroy the country into your government, and then you say we can't keep doing the same thing over and over. That is inconsistency. That's not the Liberia that I want to live into. I can't take that from Cummings. I can't do that. All right? Cummings is accusing the government of corruption. He brought a driver that we don't know what happened to the driver. We don't see the investigation. He himself decided to carry on the investigation rather than allowing the authority to carry out the investigation. I had interacted with Cummings. They don't want to hear the truth. In April of this year, I sat with Cummings here in my office here. They don't have no political strategy team. Their entire program has not been revitalized. I went to Florida, I told Cummings, I believe in Liberians that don't have the opportunity to be in this country here, and I will deal with you directly. Cummings listened to me, but he never paid attention. So he's just a guy that just say things but don't understand things. I am not looking for a job in Liberia. Most of the partisans believe that nothing wrong with their party. They will only see you as a flip-flopper. If you disagree with some of the things their leader is doing, then they see you as a flip-flopper. If you look at Mr. Costa, that will insult people when he comes there and agree with them, they don't see you as a flip-flopper. He is a prime example of things. But for me, I'm on audio, I'm on video and say that if Mr. Weah doesn't do the right thing, I will come back here. And do you ever hear me say, whatever I said about Mr. Weah in the past is wrong? No. Whatever I said about Mr. Weah, I stand by it today, and I'm going to back off because I believe that Liberians should be given the opportunity. So don't listen to the people who say, I'm a flip-flopper, flip-flopper. They were the same people when I left from CDC and came to support coming. They were there caring for me. But because when I started to ask a tough question now, then they say, you made a flip-flopper. So where do they stand today? These are just people who don't understand the direction of the country. If you do the right thing, I will praise you. If you do the wrong thing, I will praise you. That is what I'm trying to bring to Liberians, independent-minded people. We either have you for or you against. It cannot move our economy.
Thank you, Randy. So, we're stuck into the both discussions. We will rule out the tier one. We have our brother Alfred Konowa. Konowa, I know you have a lot of stuff on your chest to let go. Gabriel and the CEO. The CEO got a problem with his network over there. It's kind of frozen. I know he talked, we hear him. But we read between the two topics. So that is the first topic and the second. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you want to clear some things out of the chest, now we can go ahead and go that route. The lines are open. The callers can still call and be your part. We have at least 30 more minutes, so by 9:30 we should be wrapping up. From my end, I know it'll be 10:30 to Randy, but yeah, that's where we are. So Konowa, go ahead. You have questions, you have comments on the two topics we just talked about.
Let me first of all say this. I know we are on our closing. Maybe I will not have the opportunity to speak again, but I have to say this. A caller called and said I did not respond to the question you asked me as it relates to Mr. Johnson's allegation against the government of an assassination attempt. But this is what I have to say to the caller. Maybe probably he will not listen. I said, looking at the history of this government, in terms of, in fact, Gabriel was the one that raised the concern and said that looking at the history of the government about the mysterious deaths in this past 6 years of Mr. Weah's government, there is a likelihood that the allegation that Mr. Johnson is making could be true. However, I also said that Mr. Johnson is a political weight in our country. And anybody who will try to downplay what he says must think twice, because he has the ability to take vote away from the CDC. So I try to connect the two. Why Mr. Johnson is unsatisfied and why today he's coming on to accuse the government of trying to assassinate him, because of the past history of what has happened in the last 6 years. That's what I said. Now, to the issue that Mr. Dapo is raising here about, you know, the transparency of the government and all of that. All of us on the platform here, we want our government to be good. That's why we come here. We take upon ourselves, leave our business schedule to come here to talk about the ills of our government and how the government can see reason to listen to some of the things that we say, to be able to put in the proper perspective so that it can be good for everybody. You and I on the platform, we know very well the kind of calls that we receive from our people in terms of the hardship. But Mr. Dapo here is not alluding to that fact, that the hardship in the country. He tell me that not everybody in the country is suffering, right? That's what all factors constant, right? Mr. Dapo, why did your government not audit President Steady? Why? Why your government fail to audit President Steady? Every time, all of you, when you come on the show, you're always pointing to the blinking. You're pointing to the blinking when your president said, when our president said that he was coming into power with a matter of hope or change to fix all the problems that he saw, he was in a position to deal with them. Why did you put not audit the government and you say you're mere broke government? So in my mind, if you said there was this government is transparent, I will tell you for sure that is a blatant lie.
Thank you.
Because
Thank
if
you.
you say the government is transparent, we want to see the record. What happened to all the GSC report? What happened to the LGC report about the ledgers that people corrupted the census form? What happened to that investigation? Then can you tell me on show here that the government is transparent? What level of transparency are you talking about?
Thank you, Konoma. So, Jay Rennie, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think what Alfred is in the right direction, but he doesn't understand the function, and I think that is key to what he's discussing. You see, when we sit on the different platforms, also of our own platform, we got to understand that we're dealing with a population of partisan that I see as ethnic partisan. Ethnic partisan are people who get foot on issue, but they don't understand the issue. And we must be able to educate them. Like I said, every question he's asking, there's nothing wrong with the question. But direct this question to the people who are in charge of this institution. The president doesn't run everything. I don't know where he lives in the United States here. It is one thing to call our team, but you want to be very specific. Go out to this institution and begin to act.
Mr. Dapo, what are you saying? Mr. Dapo, please, you can't do that. The president is the head of government. He appoints these people. If they are not working, he has constitutional power to deal with them. Then you tell me that the president not get power to do with that.
Alfred, that's why I don't do when I'm hosting. We don't go back and forth. You had a time. When you throw your question, that's it. He can't be speaking and you fighting. I don't do that. I don't.
I apologize.
So I give you the time.
I will hold my talk. No problem.
And you ask your questions. Let him go ahead. If you can't do that,
Mr.
I don't
Dabo,
give-
go ahead. Sorry.
When I'm hosting, I
Sorry.
don't. Maybe other hosts will. I don't. The Dabo, you are protected. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I think we got to learn to control our feelings because I'm not a feeling enforcer here. There's no law that say we should enforce feelings here. So I think we need to be calm with our feelings. So what I was saying here is this,
Mr.
right?
Dapo.
Yeah, if we want to educate our people, our democracy, Liberians are illiterate to our democracy. We are very illiterate to our democracies. We don't understand what it means. Democracy calls for power sharing. If everything were being thrown at Joe Biden in this country or the prime minister in India or wherever it is, we will have a one-way government. Anything that happens in our country, as Liberians, we have the right to call out this institution. There's nothing wrong with you calling out the Ministry of Justice, the GSC for not doing their job. Once you make that call, it is incumbent upon everyone out here to look at why are you making the call, what have you done? There are some ministers in the government, there are some officials in the government that are not doing well, Alfred. I agree with you on that. But we have to call them out. When you go to work, your supervisor will not call you CEO and tell you, say, you're not doing your job. Your co-worker will let your supervisor know. So we have to look at the reporting phases of how things should be done. But if we just focus on the president, then we don't have a government. We have something like a Boy Scout. And that's what I'm trying to bring to you. As far as the orders are going through, people are not doing a responsible job. They are not being responsible. And we have to make sure that they understand those things. Have there been audit conducted? Of course. There have been series of audits that have been conducted. But what is the process? What is the role of the national legislature? You spoke about the process in which this should be done. The national legislature should also be part of this question you're asking. Call your lawmaker. Tell the people, call your lawmaker. Call Yeka Koluba. Yeka Koluba should be out there too, advocating that. Let the GSC or whatever people come to Chimbo, let ask them why they're not answering your question out there. But because many of them have been programmed to say
thank you
that we want the opposition to hear, that's why. But we have to focus our question on power sharing. Is it because we lack the competence?
Thank you, Randy.
Are so tolerant of things?
Thank you.
That is the challenge which I see over there, right? So thank you very much.
Thank you. So Randy, before I go to Gabriel and the CEO, and then we wrap up, I want to go to you and Teddy Ted Lion. You guys, as I speak right now, I'm convinced that you guys are staunch and supporter of the ruling party, the coalition for democratic change. So, but that in the president's State of the Union address, like there's a lot of confusion that I have been following all of his addresses in the past years. But this year, he made his State of the Nation address so perfect. And those are the things I've been wanting to hear from the first State of the Union address that he did not speak about. But this one, which is his last term or his last year in office, he spoke about. So I will go to it. Talk about civil servants, and he want to make sure they have, their living wage or minimum wage. He talked about the GSC and LACC that they put in enough funds to empower them. And before he made that statement, he said they have nothing to hide. That was his statement. We have nothing to hide. Now, he said, we put more money in the GSC and the LACC for audit and all these, because we are transparent and the rest of it. And then he also went on to mention that they have put a new leadership structure at the Internal Auditing Commission. So why now? Because those were statements that I felt he would have made during his first State of the Union address or State of the Nation address to the Liberian people. These were things some of us here were up for. It wasn't said. It wasn't active. We didn't see nothing happen. In fact, the GSC and the LACC was dead for the past 5 years. Why is it now that he thinks it's important to put money, to change leadership, to do all of that? Jay Randy or my brother Yanko, if y'all want, anyone that can go for it. That's my question.
Let me just touch a little bit, and Randy will continue on that. But you know, yeah, it's to my own layman understanding, you know, because this president is a president who listened. And remember, the president said he did critical thinking. So you know, and you have to digest, the information and lot before making some move. But however is that, if you tell you that we're making progress, we're making progress, and that's the Liberian people have been expecting these things. So the president, he has done the right thing to hint those information out and increase those people's salaries. Remember the president
Teddy, my question is why now? Why now?
Why now? Yeah,
why now?
Yeah, you guys tell me. It's just in the referral time. But as he trying to increase revenues, so he's looking at all these numbers. He said, well, it would be necessary to add these people money up. That's the right thing for any good leader to do. It doesn't have any kind of foul play. It doesn't have any kind of ulterior motives behind it. But people expect everything for the president to accomplish all he promises one day. That's the expectation of people like Gabriel then. But you know, all these promises the president made, these things will come in time. And at least we can applaud the president within the 5 to 5 years. And we wasted 2.5 years on coronavirus, all these things. Why the president still try to meet up with the expectations of Liberians? But even though everything is not very roses right now, but the president is doing a good job. Brother Rennie can continue to that and elaborate more on that.
Thank you. Yeah, Jay Rennie, I mean, just take 5 minutes to wrap up that question. But why now?
Yeah, why now is based on what a true leader will always do. A true leader does not only direct things, but a true leader will also participate in the process. Many of you guys have been saying that, oh, why the government did not audit it, why the government, you see, there are operation audit, there are performance audit, and there are financial audit. When the president took office, there are people who were institutionally knowledgeable about every institution they found themselves in. And as a leader, the president decided to give these people the opportunity. If you are given a position, what is your role individually? Is to look at the function of that role that's given to you. Most of these guys that inherited a position or that were retained on this position did not do a good job. And I'll be honest with you guys, most of the guys did not do a good job. So the president has decided to go through his own engagement process. Like when you talk about finances, every time they pass in budget, how often do you hear the RAA, the GAC, whether it is lack of human capacity, competency, or the ability to perform? None of these things were heard. Even the opposition cried all these things then. Some of them just came out of the government. They know the deficiency that they left into different ministry, but they were not fair enough to come out. So when the president come out now and said, look, this is what I have gathered over the past 6 years. We have budget issue. We have capacity issue. So the why now is the president has figured out that what he inherited has been not just an institutional problem, it has also been what? A capacity, all right? A logistical issue. And that is the role of a leader. The president is now establishing what we call economic, political, and other establishment. All right, that's what he's doing. He's trying to lay down. These are facts. When you look at social establishment, you have the invisible playground today. Those are social establishment. Except that most of the guys you listen to and some of your platform, you don't present these things to you people. When you look at social establishment, the playground, restaurants, soccer stadium, and other amusement. When you look at economic and infrastructure, the roads revitalization, the creation of new or buildings around. These are things that fall under establishment. So the why now
Randy, I don't like the interruption of discussion, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about audits. I'm talking about like corruption. When did the president know? When did the president know that this was important?
You said why now? I told you know that. I told you know that. You said why now the civil
I was based on the timing.
But now, if you want me to answer that question again, I will. The president can and carry on a salary harmonization. The president now feel comfortable now that what they have stabilized, all right, what they have stabilized is now giving him the ability now to say, yes, we can increase salary. When the president took office, it was like a chicken fellow in the vacuum. There is no weight displaced on that chicken fellow. It takes its time. That's how the salary was structured. Now, when it comes to the GAC, you said, why now they are pumping more money into the GAC, the RA? Why are they putting money in? Because those who were responsible in our role, they could not articulate the challenges, whether it's competence issue, whether it's capacity issue. The president decided to get involved. Remember, leader does not own it. A true leader will not own it directly, but they will get involved into things. These are structural leadership. So the reason he's coming on now is because he has now taken the bull by the horn to get things done. What is so wrong with that?
Exactly.
Rennie, we gotta go. But I'll be honest with you, Rennie, if you're a president of Liberia today, I don't think it take you 6 years to know that all the nonsense that we saw going on over there, you have to know in your last year.
And that's the truth. He doesn't want to say it.
We'll continue.
Everything. He cannot take everything. It's called giving the benefit of that. Your CEO,
Gabriel, Massacre. Some of these guys are support the president. They know the facts. They know the fact. What they're doing private,
we gotta go.
I pray. I gotta go. To the evidence Rennie gave you. You got to accept the evidence. The person are putting bureaucracy after this in the process.
We hope to have the time to bring you guys back, and we'll still have the discussion.
My man, I'm founder of the platform. Rennie is a guest. You should know I'm more like a panelist that Alfred just come here.
Teddy, you're not stranger. Yeah, I know that.
Rennie is a guest.
From day one.
You are now a panelist today. You are a guest because
you remind me about that puppy that on Liberia Public Radio. He's a fighter, and you be. Yeah, you are the same way. Always
Okay, gentlemen, let's go back to the discussion. So, CEO, we wrapping up on the two discussions. I don't know what you have.
I think Brandon want to give a pattern statement. Let's just allow him. I think so.
Yeah, that makes a double game party statement. We'll listen to you, sir.
Yeah, so I would like to say a big thank you to you guys for giving me the opportunity. This kind of conversation is very healthy for our political environment, and we should not shy away from going on any platform, because exchanging the ideas will give us the knowledge of what we did not achieve, and it will give us the skills to be able to achieve and apply that to the rules. So I would like to say thank you to the callers. I would like to say thank you to the participants, those who agree, who disagree. That is democracy. We all are in our own way measuring things by our standards. All right. I have my standards, people got their standards. But at the end of the day, we want a better Liberia. But my better Liberia is not going to be based on a political leader that I confide in rather than the people that I'm supposed to represent. So until then, Massacre, Lincoln, Gabriel, Teddy, my man Alfred, thank you so much. I think my man Alfred stood out the best. He tried to give me tough time, but thank you guys so much. I will see you guys again. Thank you, man. It's early here. I gotta go do one or two. But thanks to all your audience out there. I appreciate them a lot. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President Pro Tem, Associate Justice, representing the Chief Justice, honorable members of the legislature, the Doyen, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Dean, members of the Cabinet, officials of government, the Traditional Council, members of the Council of Churches and the Muslim Council, political leaders, non-governmental organization leaders, fellow Liberians. Once again, we thank God and recognize the pivotal role played by all our citizens and foreign partners alike that enable us to conquer the deadly Ebola virus disease outbreak, thereby enabling the recommencement of our development process. Without the individual and collective support and cooperation of all our citizens and residents, it would have been difficult to defeat this scourge. Our resilience as a people remains the greatest and most valuable asset of which our country can boast. I consider myself extremely fortunate to be the leader of a country with such resilient people. In our most recent history, we have gone through many challenges together as a state and as a people, but we have always prevailed. I have no doubt that we can continue to prevail in the years ahead. Recently, we traveled to India to participate in the 3rd India-African Summit and also to the People's Republic of China at their invitation for a state visit. In each country, we met with the head of state and the head of government, renewed and reviewed bilateral cooperation, and discussed ongoing and potential projects, including procedures for accessing lines of credit to finance our infrastructure development, particularly road and power. In reviewing ongoing projects, which have already obtained their support, we were reminded that the competition for resources is fierce. Countries that can move their internal processes with efficiency and speed are likely to obtain the desired level of external support. I'm confident that with the support and coordination of all 3 branches of our government, this will not be a problem. For we fully understand the value to our people of these developments and the importance of concluding in a timely manner financing arrangements for several intercounty roads, for improving the Roberts International Airport, for the upgrading of the John F. Kennedy Medical Center, for putting in place facilities to transmit and distribute electricity, and for expanding telecommunications. We are determined to meet these and other national priorities during the remaining years of this administration. Fellow Liberians, ladies and gentlemen, I usually would not address you on a particular trip, but I deviate from the norm because this trip comes at a time when emerging global economic trends with dire consequences for our region and our country specifically, require that we not only stay focused on our domestic priorities, but remain aware of the constraints these would pose to our development program. Hence my decision to brief you on the outcome of my recent visits, particularly with the challenges our country faces and the opportunities we can leverage in dealing with these challenges. Many of you, politics aside, know exactly where we have come from as a nation. You know the country we inherited in 2006, and you know where it is today. You know the status quo that was, and the enormous effort required of all of us collectively to steer the ship in the direction of durable foundations for peace and development. You know the struggle and challenges which we have faced on a daily basis in restoring governance, and you know the progress that we have made together. In 2006, after years of destruction, Liberia began the onerous journey of reforming, rebuilding, and recovering. We set foundations that would lead to broader citizens' participation in development. And yes, we structured foundations that would enable our citizens to benefit from various national opportunities. You know that we refuse to accept the legacy of a failed state or the portrayal of our nation as a pariah, an exporter of conflict, undeserving of our rightful place of respect and leadership around the family table of the world. We believed that Liberia could become an example for the promotion of freedom and rights of all persons. We believed Liberia could become a thriving democracy. We knew that we could adopt best practices in the management of our resources, and that we could surmount challenges of human and institutional capacities to become an open, accountable, transparent government and society. And although our economy had experienced one of the greatest collapses by any nation since World War II, we knew that we could garner the capacity and make the commitment to lead the processes of recovery, and thus attract, support, and inspire Liberian entrepreneurship. We knew this nation could be set on an irreversible path to sustainable growth and development. And so we took bold steps to achieve our national imperatives and reclaim international respect. In our economic recovery effort, for example, we reviewed all concession agreements, canceled all forestry concession agreements for non-compliance with our laws, and renegotiate the Firestone and ArcelorMittal concession agreements to provide for improved national benefits. I am proud of our accomplishment to date, and as a reminder to point out some of the things together we've been able to do. We created the fiscal space by removing the external debt burden of $4.9 billion through the HIPC process. We increased domestic revenues from US $80 million to a peak of $470 million in 2014. We increased electricity on the national grid from 0 to 23 megawatts and remain on course to connect Mount Coffee Hydro in December 2016 with additional 88 megawatts of power. Additionally, we are now completing various projects to add another 38 megawatts of power generated by heavy fuel oil diesel plants. This will provide affordable electricity to support economic expansion. Progress has been slowed due to the Ebola outbreak, but we do remain on track with the Mount Coffee Hydro to increase energy supply to our people, which is necessary as a precondition for fostering value addition to raw materials, manufacturing, and other related industries. This is not new, but finally the ECOWAS program is on course to bring electricity to 18 of our villages in 4 counties bordering Cote d'Ivoire. Ganta and Harper are already receiving current. Currently, with limited current energy capacity, we were able to increase electricity connections to 33,000 homes and businesses. By 2017, that number will be increased by 3,000 connections per month, and electricity will reach as far as Kakata, Tubmanburg, and Robertsport. The high cost and severe climatic conditions have made this challenging, but we paved or rehabilitated nearly 698 kilometers of city, inter-county, and neighborhood roads, the highest by any government. By the end of 2017, the number of paved roads will be 960 kilometers, of which will be 220 new paved roads. Roads, as you know, are cardinal to the acceleration of inter-county trade and an imperative for our agriculture sector. Development in rural Liberia has been constrained by bad road networks. A good number of projects will commence this dry season as we work to secure additional financing to connect more county capitals. A continuation of neighborhood roads in the city will bring relief to many of our citizens. In our infrastructure development efforts, we constructed the Zulu Doman Bridge to replace the collapsed Fightown Bridge, build a new bridge at Caldwell, and have ongoing improvements to the Freeport of Monrovia and to the ports of Buchanan and Greenville as well. Improvements at Roberts International Airport are imminent. We rebuilt the Robertsville Highway and are committed to have both the runway and terminal completed by the end of 2017 and to continue the expansion of paved urban roads. The participation of Liberians in the economy is recognized as the most reliable means of sustainable job creation. Thus, we have initiated laws that will ensure this participation. We require all of our officials and ask our business entities to ensure full usage of the 25% of public appropriations for goods and services that by law must be directed to Liberian enterprises. Progress made in Liberianization and local content was showcased 2 days ago during the annual trade fair. A large number of the almost 10,000 registered Liberian businesses were in attendance. It is important that we give support to small and medium-sized Liberian enterprises that are now emerging. When you wear your pride by using country cloth and eat your pride by eating country rice, when you buy locally produced products, you contribute to jobs and the livelihoods of Liberians. In education, we have been able to increase school enrollment to 1,531,489 as of 2014, with girls' enrollment nearly 50%. By 2017, we expect this number to be 2,603,131. A program to train teachers, thereby improving the quality of education, is ongoing. Some 10,441 teachers have already been trained. To accommodate the increased enrollment, Some 115 schools have been renovated and 26 new schools constructed. The construction of comprehensive school facilities target 41 such facilities in 15 counties, which will include housing for teachers. Institutions of higher education have also received support. While financial pressures have led to a reduction, budgetary appropriation to the University of Liberia increased significantly to a high as close to 12 million in the year 2012. New facilities were constructed and to restore the Fendel campus. Was reopened, renamed Tubman University, and has become a quality institution of higher learning. Availability of technical, vocational, and life skills training but for thousands of our youths took a giant leap forward yesterday when we dedicated the new state-of-the-art Monrovia Vocational Training Center, thanks to the government of the People's Republic of China. The modern facility adds the Clay Agriculture Vocational Training Center in Bomi, the now unfunctional ArcelorMittal Vocational Training Center in Nimba, and the Tumutu Agriculture Training Center in Bong, which is undergoing renovation. Major investments are being planned for all of the multilaterals and BWI to make them what they were created to be, combining technical and academic skills to harness the entrepreneurial skills of young Liberians to be employers. These investments will target young women to compete with their male counterparts in the TVET sector. In the health sector, which was severely challenged by Ebola, we made some gains, but the fragility exposed during the Ebola attack was a reflection of the overall fragility of our post-conflict disposition. However, access to health services and to health care increased from 41% in 2007 to 71% in 2013. This was made possible by increased health facilities from 354 in 2006 to 712. 10 public health facilities were established, and we expect to have a targeted 80% coverage, which would translate to 89 additional health facilities. Plans for rebuilding a resilient health system include improved conditions for healthcare workers, upgrading major referral and county hospitals, training of medical personnel, and arranging an effective system for drug supply. A free package of health services across the country has increased access by 71%. Maternal mortality decreased significantly, but has once again climbed to an unacceptable level due to the impact of Ebola. Progress in reducing infant mortality enabled Liberia to achieve MDG goal number 4 on child mortality. Our commitment to women is demonstrated in the programs we support for better living conditions and literacy training for those in the informal sector. Programs are being evaluated and restructured for better results in the control of domestic violence and rape. We are proud to have achieved goal number 3 of the MDGs for women empowerment. Challenges continue in our effort to improve pipe-borne water, particularly in Monrovia. We are making organizational changes to address this problem. Nevertheless, the report showed that well over 50% of the population have access to clean water from all sources. Completed or ongoing projects to bring pipe-borne water to Buchanan, Kakata, Robertsport, Fonjima, Swedru, and Sanequili are well advanced. Feasibility studies being completed for Harper, Greenville, and Banga. In agriculture, traditional crops such as coffee and cocoa are once again exposed with great potential. Increased production of rice and cassava were affected by Ebola, but is now back on course. Over 350 students have been trained in every aspect of agricultural science to expand service to the sector. In line with our investment strategy, we have attracted more than 15 companies in forestry, 4 in mining, 5 in oil palm, and several other sectors, amounting to agreements for more than 16 billion in foreign direct investment. Often, this is construed to mean we actually did receive this volume of investment, whereas most of these investments were projected over a 25-year period. In some cases, like the mining sector, they contributed to moving our economy close to pre-war levels, thereby affecting the size of our budget envelope. In other cases, they too have been challenged by exogenous factors beyond their control, with direct consequences to our economy. As a result, only 4.2 billion of the US 16 billion that we talk about was operationalized to produce the jobs, infrastructure, and revenue. Nonetheless, we remain optimistic that we will continue to do what we can so that these investments will eventually propel growth in our economy. The rubber sector has been hard hit by low global prices, but support has been mobilized to help producers that moved in the direction for value addition to their products. Enterprising Liberian producers have already begun to add value added and to seek markets through direct exports. Firestone is now making great progress in the production of wood products and furniture from dead rubber trees. This not only adds value in the sector, but opens new opportunities for Liberians in the woodwork industry. When this administration took over the helm of leadership of the National Security and Welfare Corporation in February 2006, bank balances were US dollars 645,000 and Liberian dollars 5 million. To date, bank balances stand at US 30 million plus. And after completion of numerous real estate investment, including the NASCO house at Elwha Junction that now houses the LRA. We have started implementation of a program to provide affordable housing to our people. The first step was taken last year when we completed the processing and certification of deeds to long-living tenants of the old housing estate. We have completed phase 1 and phase 2 of the Jatono housing estate in Broville City for a completion of 93 units. The Bentown housing estate in Marshall is completed and has been dedicated with 52 units. Phase 2 commences in 1 week for the construction of additional units at both places. A major priority in the housing plan is the voluntary relocation of residents of West Point, particularly those who have been repeatedly affected by flooding. The Monrovia City Corporation is working with the Land Commission to identify sites Upper Broville. Our teams that will be going to investment seminar will be putting this on the table. Our team at Climate Change will also be raising this to enable us to do this project. The long anticipated relief to the people of West Point is now closer to realization, which they have welcomed. The first in the history of our country, we established county development funds to support priorities decided by the people themselves across villages and towns. We also encouraged and maintained a policy of corporate social responsibility, by which corporate entities are encouraged to extend support to community projects and developmental efforts through the establishment of social development fund. Better accountability and management of these funds will bring development to the communities. In improvement of governance, the Liberian Revenue Authority has been put in place and is effectively organizing to implement a rigorous collection effort. There will be no relenting collecting due taxes from individuals, corporations, organizations, and other entities. Duty-free privilege from all, except those identified in laws and those under legal or contractual arrangements or for humanitarian purposes, will be withdrawn. The draft lands right is considered truly revolutionary, as this will grant land rights and security to the people of our communities. The legislature is urged to pass this law upon their return. The proposed land authority to minister and manage land rights and ease the many challenges in the distribution and the economic use of land needs to also be established by legislation. The Central Bank of Liberia has increased the level of reserves from 5 million to gross reserves of 539 million. This has supported interventions to keep the exchange rate reasonably stabilized, despite the dual currency regime that facilitates an outflow of capital. Although caution is now required, the CBL has provided credit through the commercial banks to support Liberian businesses. A new central bank building was dedicated, as you know, a few months ago. In the public administration sector, we have increased compensation for civil servants from as low as $15 per month to a minimum US $125 as the minimum wage in government. The level of budget allocation to public administration remains much too large, crowding out allocation for capital investment. Although reform efforts call for reducing through civil service rationalization, we have been cautious to protect jobs for citizens who have no other alternatives. We instituted a number of institutional governance reforms leading to transparency, increased voice and accountability, responsiveness, enhanced freedoms, etc. The result, we have now some 56 newspapers, 35 radio stations, 5 television stations, enjoying the fullest of freedom, sometimes without recognition of the constitutional responsibility, and other times undermining the economic potential and the stability of our country. Security remains paramount if we will achieve our economic goals. In this regard, we restored honor to the armed forces of Liberia. With support from our partners, the United States of America, we train and continue to train a new professional army. Today, they are participating in international peacekeeping duties and are assisting in other civil works for improved infrastructure. Similarly, we continue to work with other security entities, particularly the Liberian National Police and the Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization, readying these institutions increasingly to stand up as UNMIL stands down. Given the scarcity of natural resources, We went beyond budget allocation and official development aid to mobilize support from individual institutional partners, and we established the Philanthropic Secretariat in the Ministry of State. The Liberia Education Trust, the Sirleaf Marquis Women Fund provided and continue to provide support for school construction and repairs, market construction, girls' scholarships, literacy training. The Senior Executive Service, the SCOT program, the President Young Professional Program are all innovative efforts that made significant contribution to our national development. We worked in the past 4 years to pass the required indicators, including control of corruption, that made us eligible for compact with the Millennium Challenge Corporation of the United States. This happened when the Vice President witnessed the signing by the Minister of Finance, Development Planning, and the MCC for a US $256.7 million grant on November 2nd in Washington, D.C. Power is a major priority under the compact. The promise of big lights tomorrow is now close at hand. The compact is significant because it is a new partnership that will transcend the administration of President Barack Obama and me. Fellow Liberians, I can go on and on to name a number of genes we have made together, but this will distract from the crux of our message today. Most of these modest achievements we have made together since we decided to take the democratic path to governance as well documented. For this, let us be grateful and appreciate what we have achieved together. Let us now face stark reality. When we assumed leadership of the country, the most pressing problems to address was to ensure political stability through the rule of law, to strengthen the system of governance and deal with the structural issues in the way of economic growth. In this direction, we addressed debt relief, while at the same time seeking to attract foreign direct investment. We saw our GDP climb to as high as 9.5%, and we launched Vision 2030, aimed at getting us to a middle-income country by the year 2030. A 5-year agenda for transformation was also formulated. We are now faced with the prospects of a weakened economy due to the worsening decline of two of our most important commodities, iron ore and rubber. In the mining and agriculture sectors, we are beginning to see layoffs, reduced income and taxes, scaling back incurring activities, bankruptcy, and delayed investment outlays in various projects. It is against this backdrop, fellow Liberians, that I felt it important to address you on these critical developments. It is not that the situation cannot be contained. We can and we must do so. It is just that we have a lot to do together to ensure that we remain afloat and don't lose the momentum we have built coming out of the Ebola crisis. Given our country's natural endowment, the private sector will continue to be the engine of sustainable growth. Thus, we have started negotiations with investors who require changes in investment plans, given current global conditions. This is important to support and keep them positioned for continued and expanded investment in the future. At the same time, we are concluding arrangements with other investors to keep the economy more diversified. I have set up various task forces to scan certain sectors and advise on what we need to do to enhance and foster productivity in these sectors. We see great potential in this initiative. For example, I see that there are a lot of promises in agriculture value chain that demand private sector participation. Our young people must look at agriculture as a very attractive source of employment with the potential to stimulate economic transformation. It is becoming abundantly clear that agribusiness holds great promise for wealth and job creation. Also, toward this important end, several teams will be visiting the country within the next few months to follow up on discussions and negotiations held in India and China. These will focus largely on infrastructure and value addition in the mining sector and in agriculture. The African Development Bank had a team in the country last week to assist us in quick wins in the agriculture sector. Fisheries, both marine and inland, have great potential to attract private investment and make a major contribution to food security and the economy. As we approach the impending 2017 electoral cycle, there are many who are set to put everything in political context and begin the process of assigning blame and scoring political points at the expense of moving our country in the right direction. Like the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Ms. Christine Lagarde, reminded us when she visited a few months ago, there will be plenty of time for politics and to score political points. But at this crucial period in our development process, it is time to remain collectively engaged on delivering for our people and our country. The time for us to make our case for election is still ahead, and we have more enough time to score political points, but we are still 2 years away. Let's remain focused on achieving more for our people. Let us remember, all of you remember, that what we achieve today will be your inheritance tomorrow. I make this plea not only to members of my government, but our fellow citizens in the private sector and ordinary individuals interested in seeking political office, that we must all prepare to work. We must all prepare to work harder for our beloved country and people. Fellow Liberians, as we prepare for UNMIL drawdown, its implication on our collective determination to maintain peace and security in our country, we are mindful of 2017 and how crucial it is in the country's democratic transition. Already, some elements of our society are beginning to test our resolve to ensure the collective security of the country and its people through different acts of lawlessness and criminality. We are witnessing a rise in what appears to be ritualistic killings and armed robbery across the country, thus threatening our security. Let me assure all of us, assure you fellow citizens, that the government is fully aware of what is taking place and is currently taking steps to contain these wanton acts of violence. I'm instructing the security forces to rigorously enforce the law to the letter and bring this ugly situation under immediate control. For those who have chosen the path to commit murder and armed robberies, let the word go forth that we are coming after you. And that there will be no place for you once caught. The full width of the law will take its course. There are specific things that our citizens can do to help as we manage the current crisis. We urge our citizens to refrain from violent protests and destruction of properties in the expression of rights to land, community benefits, etc. This will not be tolerated. We call for better consideration and cooperation by non-state actors in their advocacy on behalf of their organizations and beneficiaries. This will open up opportunities for more private sector investment for all Liberians. We too in government have a major challenge in the role we play. There is need for improvement in bureaucratic delays, better use of capacity, changes in procurement laws and processes, and more vigorous enforcement of our corruption effort. Likewise, the media can be more investigative and less sensational in their reporting. It is time for us to show our patriotism and love and dedication to our country. This applies not only to the heads of the branches of government or the cabinet, it applies to each ordinary Liberian. There are things that we will be doing in the next few weeks that require your full participation. This is where, fellow Liberians, I truly need your support. Everyone doesn't have to start together, but at least few people need to lead the way. And for those who have studied business, there is always a first mover advantage. I encourage you to be the first mover. Finally, my fellow citizens, the difficulties we face today are not unique. Many other countries face similar challenges and continue to suffer the effects of global decline in commodity prices. But we must be determined to demonstrate character, commitment, and political will during these turbulent times. I want you to know that we will leave no stone unturned to recover lost gains. I ask for your support as we take the action necessary to do so. I also ask for your full participation in everything that we do. We came together in unity and strength to defeat the Ebola virus, and we must continue in the same character to face down this new challenge. We can do so again. We can overcome. In Union Strong, success is sure as we remain one nation, one people, united for sustainable peace and development. Thank you for your attention.
She hasn't shown that there be shift away to stop those kinds of things. But all we just heard, you know, that, oh, we got challenges with the two sectors. We knew we had problem with iron ore. Why? Because we don't use iron ore. It's raw material. We shift it. So the fact that you're shifting it outside, what's happening in the Chinese economy is going to affect us. What's happening globally is going to affect us. Have we shifted away to add value to iron ore? No. Rubber, have we shifted away to even start making condom, latex condom? You just need an investment of $10 million from the government to be able to do.
But you also spoke about fashion shifting from exporting raw material.
That is Liberia's problem. That is Liberia's problem.
Furniture.
That is Liberia's problem. Liberia's problem is that we keep depending on the investor that have the business model as compared to depending on our own business model. And our own business model as a government ought to be, we must identify that money invested in the sector to be able to add value. Firestone business model is grow rubber in Liberia, ship the rubber abroad, add value. Our business model has to be take money and create a non-existing private sector to add value to the sector. We cannot always, and like we always done, depend on one foreign company to come and add value to what we are doing. If we do that, it's never going to help us. It's never helped us with Lamco. It never helped us with bomb mines. It never helped us with China. It's never going to help us because that focus can never.
Mr. Freeman, the person also spoke about calling those of you in politics wanting to be a leader for this country to drop your ambition a little bit because about 2 years and join collectively in terms of moving the country forward. What do you mean by that?
She should have made her speech in 2010 when she went to the legislature and declared her ambition to become president. She should have gotten rid of politics at the time. At this junction, it's not about politicking. What is important, just the other day, you had the city mayor, the former city mayor, the GSA director, who's cleaning up the city, arrested 2 girls, and according to her side, the story is that those girls were basically prostituting. Do you think the daughter of any of the government officials will prostitute? Because they are well conditioned, well cared for. What we are talking about here is real human lives. People are suffering. Fathers are unable to take care of the children. It's not about politicking. What we're talking about here is this rainy season that's just coming to an end. Those communities have been accessible. West Point, a lot of people, have been able to move away because the condition of habitation is difficult. We're talking about